Hello, everyone. Welcome to History with Hersaphat. I'm your host, Chris, aka Hersaphat. Today, I'll be speaking with a couple of friends, Brad, Nick, Esteban, about the year 2003. The views shared on this podcast come from ordinary people who lived through these events. My hope is that it'll give a unique perspective on history. How is everyone this evening?
Good.
Good?
Very
And-
good. Yeah. I had to give a hot Latina woman directions on my fairgrounds today. So that was good. I
Yeah.
knew just enough Spanish. Just
Nice.
enough. Que
Nice.
buscas.
Wow.
Que buscas. Does anybody know what que buscas means?
Over
Mm.
there.
What are you looking for?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very close. Yes.
Well, I didn't give anyone directions, but I'm doing a-okay.
Yeah, nice. Good to hear. How was your Easters? I got to be honest, I completely forgot that it was Easter.
Yeah, it was Easter.
Easter
Yeah,
weekend.
don't celebrate.
Yeah, I was just like, hey, what's everyone doing? You ready? Yeah, man, it's Easter. I have a family, we got kids. We're doing like coloring eggs and shit. So
People with
I was
their
like, yeah.
families.
I was like, oh,
That sounds
right.
awful.
No. I mean, the egg coloring thing probably gets old after a couple years. Yeah, oh great, we're coloring eggs again. Yeah.
It's a whole.
lovely.
It's just.
It's a whole thing.
That's just yeah.
So
no,
I hope
thank you.
everyone had a good Easter, even though I don't think the majority of us on this podcast celebrate it, but that's
I
all
saw
right.
some, a friend of mine sent me some pictures of the eggs she made, and they look like galaxies with like glow in the dark planets and stars on them.
That's nice.
Those were
Hmm.
pretty cool.
That's
I never had
yeah.
anything like that as a kid.
Yeah,
it was
we just dipped them
those
in
cheap
like some
wires
cheap-
with, like-
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It smelled all. It's like vinegar. It smelled awful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
wow.
it's just like,
that takes me
for
back.
sure.
Yeah, but they're always like these shitty colors that weren't quite, as dark as you wanted them. And the worst, we
Right.
stopped using that, stopped doing that. The year we used to use real eggs, we'd color them, we'd dye them, and then our parents or the Easter Bunny would hide them around the house. Well, as the kids
Mhm.
got older, they took over those jobs because as a parent, they're like, I'm sick. I don't even care where to hide it. Just put them somewhere, kids. So my older brother and I believe it was my older brother and I, we hid the eggs.
His name is John.
John for the younger, and I believe it had to have been John. It could have been me. I don't remember doing it, but someone hid an actual hard-boiled egg in a
Oh,
shoe,
no.
in the toe of a shoe on a shoe rack that no one used, in a shoe that no one has worn in years. And weeks went by, and we didn't realize what is that smell. I kept walking by. I was like, what the hell is that smell? And I was like, does no one else smell that? And like it would like come in like a little way, like, yeah, I think so. Maybe. And then another week would go by, and I was like, it's something. And finally, I decided we'd take out all the shoes, and all of a sudden this rotten ass egg just comes falling out, and it's like, oh god, there it is.
God.
And we never used real eggs again. That was it.
I was hoping somebody put those shoes on with that egg in there.
Oh yeah.
Right. Well, it would have been found
Ooh.
out. Nope. Let's put them in this old.
No,
pair of
and they
shoes
didn't.
no
And they
one
didn't
wears.
notice.
Yeah.
Like, wow, my feet
Right.
smell worse than usual.
Oh Jesus.
These soles are still, they're pretty good. Yeah.
My experience at Easter, I did go home. I went to Ohio to see my family, and I saw my parents and my sister for the first time in a while. But my sister, the first thing she asked me when I walked through the door was, "Are you Christian? Are you atheist? What are you?" And I was like, I felt like I was like going into like a bar or something. Like it was, they were like just checking my ID. Like, you're not allowed to be here
Right.
for Easter unless you're this.
Oh
And,
wow.
I don't know. Maybe things have changed for her. Anyway, I told her what I would tell anybody in that situation, and I know you guys have an opinion on this. That's why I brought this up. I said, well, if the Holy War broke out today, I would be wearing a tabard and riding with the Christians. I think I like their odds the best. I don't think you can hide as an atheist in the Holy War.
Yeah,
What
I
do you
feel
guys
like
think about that.
I would jump ship too. Be like, yep, I'm with God.
You hear the phrase, there's no atheist in a foxhole. There's certainly no atheist in a holy war.
No.
It's just like,
Yeah.
but to at that, it's kind of like an updated version of I mean, it's, what is it? He's a mathematician. Pascal's wager. It's like it's updated. We actually get to find out what the wager was. Oh no. Oh, well, absolutely. I'm with I'm betting that way. That's going to be my thing. That's my wager. So you could still be
Hmm.
wrong, I guess. But yeah, if the holy
Right.
war is broken out, if end times is near and the rapture is upon us, and we've got horses flying out of the sky and
Mhm.
three-headed
wait
dragons
for that.
roaming around, I think it's safe to say there may be some truth to it. But until that point,
Yeah.
I think yeah. But yeah, if there was like all that, I'd be right there. I'd be on the front lines of that holy war. Christ and me hanging out. You know, he's coming back. That's when he comes back. You know, he's
Yeah,
gonna be
wow.
leading the lines. I'll be right there. I'll be a right hand man. So yeah, that's what I'd say for that.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, that got me in. I was able to celebrate Easter with the family. That was a good enough answer.
Would they have sent you home? Be gone, heathen. Be
Yeah,
gone.
they wouldn't have. My family is not that way. No.
Right.
but
That
it was just an
wow.
odd first question.
That I would
Sure,
say
yeah.
so. What was the last question? I wonder. Did she even ask you? That was the
What
only
was the
one.
last question? The question before he left. Have you changed your mind?
I'll see you next year, atheist. Yes, so we're moving a bit here. I think we'll do the future podcast for 2004. Should be this Saturday, and next week we'll be doing 2005. And now we're going to go to the 10 questions section of the podcast. And this time, since everyone else has been asked, it's now my turn. And so I'm going to hand over the reins to Nick, and he is going to ask me these questions. And Nick, the first question, I mean, I'm sure you know it.
First question.
Yeah, you know it.
First questions of the 10 questions. Chris, what is your favorite sound?
My favorite sound is when you ever, you listen into music, or maybe it's a speech or something along those lines. Anything that causes your hair to stand on its end, gives you goosebumps.
Oh, sure.
Anything that gives me that feeling, that's my favorite sound. So it can be a number of different things, but anytime I get that, that would be my favorite sound.
I believe that has a name. I think it's Frisian.
Frisian?
Okay.
Frisian, yeah. Frission. Frisian.
Interesting.
Well, yeah, that would be my yeah.
Right on. What is your least favorite sound?
The alarm noise that goes off, that the old school alarm noise, because I always had to fucking hear it, and I hated it. If I'm in a physical fight, just play that and I'm down. I curl in a ball. I cannot take it. It's over.
It's awful. It reminds me of the gaudy red numbers too.
Yep. And it's like a light brown, fake looking plastic wood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. All right.
Big ass snooze button. Go on.
What is your favorite word of any language?
Favorite word. I have difficulty with this one because I think it changes, and sometimes I like to use two words together. I believe it's in the movie Donnie Darko where the phrase cellar door is considered the most beautiful, most eloquent sounding words. I like to use that sometimes because if I'm in the mood. But I believe the idea was that even people who didn't speak English, they heard the word cellar door together and they just thought it sounded really nice. So I go with cellar door usually.
Right.
So I'll go with that again.
That's a good one. Yeah. Honestly, I was going to go with that one, but then I realized, unfortunately,
something unfortunate.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So what's your least favorite word then?
My least favorite word is, again, it's anything that's really bad. How do you say, poorly spoken English in where the person could probably know better. Really slang as well. Any sort of new slang I don't like. I've always been the old guy who doesn't like what the kids are saying. I don't know, back in the days faux shizzle. I never said the faux shizzle. I was never down with that whole thing. Any typically new age crap that comes out, I don't like. I like people to speak properly. They don't have to, but I just prefer it. It gives me a sort of feeling. But go on.
Sure.
Like cray. Instead of
yes,
crazy,
exactly. Cray.
Or cray.
Cray.
Oh my
Sometimes.
God.
I don't think anyone says that anymore, but
But
I remember cray.
Right. It just I just don't like it.
Or,
I feel
Right,
like I
yeah.
got to learn a whole new language. It's English is hard enough. Why do we got to keep
Right.
adding shit to it?
Or like instead of saying
Sure.
suspicious, people just
Sus.
say sus.
Right,
Yeah, that's a
sus.
weird
Oh
one too.
man,
It's
no,
so
I'm good
sus.
on that.
God,
I'm
yeah,
good on
exactly.
that.
Yeah,
That just makes
Yeah.
me think of like sus chords, like
right.
a sustained chord.
I think
yeah.
Like,
I think
oh, they're talking music theory. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
the
This
most recent one, I don't know if you guys have heard this one. I do work with a younger generation most of the time. I hear them using this all the time, and it really irks me. It's
Hopefully they
bussin'.
listen. Bussin'. Yeah.
Yeah, you hear
Bussin'?
that?
Bussin'.
Yeah,
Bussy.
they talk about some food. They
Yeah.
really enjoy some food. They say, "Man, this is bussin', yo."
What does that mean? Bussin'. Whoa.
What's it like
I
a
mean, I
variant
guess
of?
it means it's really good. I guess it's really
Yeah, but
good.
well, what's it derived from?
Yeah.
bussin'?
Who knows? I have
Yeah.
no idea.
Oh, okay.
What I like to
Alright.
say is bussing, just to be like they're always like, no, it's bussin'. I'm like, what do you mean
Bus.
bussing? Like a school bus, you know? All right. So anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
What is your favorite curse word?
Probably dick bitch.
Dick
Just
bitch,
something
yeah.
about the way it rolls off the
Wow.
tongue. I like calling people dick bitches.
Hmm.
Not all the time.
Yeah, that's a
but,
good one, yeah.
well, actually, I'll be honest, all the time. Go on.
So if you weren't doing the job you're doing now, what would be your dream profession? Say.
Yeah. If I wasn't doing this, see, I don't know. I'd like to play music, do something musically, but I don't want to be touring. You know,
Right.
I'd
yeah.
like to, maybe act in a movie. That'd be cool. But not a bunch.
Right.
I don't want to do that all the
Yeah.
time. I'd like to travel to different places. So some job that allowed me to do all these. I would like a bunch of these little jobs that I only want to do for a short amount of time. So,
Mhm.
but I guess if I had to pick one, probably something in music. Just being able to, like, if I could just live comfortably just playing music would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Or some form of entertaining. Maybe I
Right.
can add a musical element to it, but yeah, that would be it.
Sure. Well, with that being said, then what is the profession that you would never do? You'd never sign up for?
I don't know. Probably politician or something.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I don't think I would ever want to do that. It seems like a really shitty place to work. Boring as
Right.
fuck. I've watched
Hmm.
some C-SPAN. It's fucking boring. Golf is more
Yeah.
entertaining than that. It's really, really bad. I mean, that's part of the job, is sitting there and all this shit. But I get only on the importance of what I'd be able to do would that be of any draw. But
Right.
it's too demanding. A lot of people that come out of politics usually, I mean, if you look at typical presidents, which is going to be interesting to see what happens with Joe Biden, because he's already like 100. They typically come across looking much older than when they started the presidency.
Yeah.
So like Bush started off and he was gray as hell at the end. Obama too.
Oh yeah.
So
Same. Yeah.
yeah. So
For
something
sure.
like that.
So what inspires you?
What inspires me? I would have to say, unlike what you would say, kindness. Kindness inspires me.
Right.
People doing things for no reason other than the fact that it's good, with no chance of a reward. They just they do it because they know it's right.
They do it.
And
Yeah.
And
They don't stick around to have
right.
people.
They don't videotape it. They don't any of that.
Yep.
They just
That's a
do
big
it.
one.
And
that happens all the time.
They don't toot their own horn. But kindness.
Yeah, but how are people gonna know that they did it then?
They won't. They'd have to do it themselves to find out what that's like.
No.
Well, I think it's just that it probably does happen. So just in a general sense that that's a good thing that those people are doing that.
Yeah.
Even though you probably never see it, but that's the point.
People being genuine, also, like just genuine kindness. I think we could just combine those two.
Right.
That would be the thing.
Sure.
As far as me.
So then, what deflates you?
I would say, I mean, you would think like maybe like ignorance, because at least I would think, but it isn't just that, because ignorance
Mhm.
is a sort of vague. It can be ignorance of many different things, necessarily their fault. So
Right.
you can't really blame them for ignorance. So, but it's yeah, just I don't know. It's this. I guess it'd be that sort of mentality. Or I
Hmm.
think I don't know what deflates me, gets me down. Just people being cruel for no reason. I mean, almost the exact
So, yeah.
opposite of what inspires me. It would be what
Right.
deflates me.
Yeah.
People doing the exact opposite of that simply because they can,
Right.
and they know there's going to be no consequences for it, so they don't care.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think
No,
that
that
deflates
definitely.
me. So that would be it.
Yeah, for sure. So the last question's my favorite one, I think. If heaven exists, what would you want God to say to you when you arrive?
So I've had an answer for this for a while. I say the same thing every time. It's interesting because it's actually my least favorite question, because I feel it's the most like okay. And my answer has always been, I'd like an apology. I'd like an apology. I'd like him to say, sorry about all that. Yeah, I don't know what
Right.
I was thinking.
Yeah.
I've said that, and like, why would you ask God for an apology? You'd ask him to apologize?
It's like a
I just
Larry
think it kind of
David
funny.
thing.
It's just
It's like Larry David
you know
goes
what?
to heaven.
I
and
didn't
it's
really
like,
appreciate all that. What the hell? What the hell, man?
yeah.
I didn't
Yeah,
throw
well-
the spear into your side. What the fuck? I didn't do any of that. I
Yeah.
wasn't there. Give me a
Yeah.
break. I'm not fucking Job. Goddamn.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right,
But
literally. Yeah.
But yeah, that would be yeah, that's my 10 questions
Yeah. That's
there.
the
Thank
10
you.
questions. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem.
Thank you, Nick. Very done. Very well done.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Very
Well
done.
done.
It was certainly
Yes.
done.
It's done. Yeah.
Thank Christ. All right. Moving on here. Starting off for 2003, on January 22nd, the last signal from NASA's Pioneer 10 spacecraft is received, 7.6 billion miles from Earth. The space probe was launched on March 3rd, 1972. The probe completed the first mission to Jupiter and later reached the necessary escape velocity to leave the solar system. Word has it that it's since become self-aware and is currently plotting its revenge. So that should be good.
It's on its way back.
Yep. Just this probe we sent out in 1970, just like, who knows where the fuck it is now? It's possible.
That's pretty cray cray. Pretty sus.
Oh, jeez.
Very sus, yes.
God. On February 1st, the Space Shuttle Columbia disintegrates during re-entry over Texas, killing all 7 astronauts on board. It is the second fatal accident in the Space Shuttle program, the first being the Challenger explosion on January 28th, 1986. So another tragedy for the Space Shuttle. I
think that was it. I think that was what shut it down for good. Like that's when the government stopped putting money into the program because they were like, this is bad, actually.
Yeah, this is not very safe. Yeah, it just seems to be happening every, other decade or something like that. At least now we can't keep doing it. It's a good thing it wasn't a bunch of children watching on TV and all that stuff when it happened this time. It just happened.
It's what opened the door for like privatization of space race, right? That's why you have SpaceX today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On February 15th through the 16th, the Antwerp diamond heist happened. An Italian gang steals loose diamonds, gold, and jewelry valued at more than 100 million from a Belgian vault. One of the largest robberies in history. Although arrests were made and time was served, most of the stolen goods have never been returned. Possibly an inspiration for Ocean's 12. Now think about that, guys. There could be a treasure trove of shit out there. Now, if I was in there, you got to make like a treasure map. You got to do a whole damn thing, and then, after you die, this could be something, imagine Geraldo going after this vault. I guarantee he finds something.
Right. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
It's absolutely.
Wow. That's an antiquated joke right there.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. February 15th.
Did you say Geraldo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't remember that? Geraldo,
Al Capone vault.
Oh, okay. So Geraldo back in the late 80s, as he was starting out, had this big thing, this live on TV. They were going to open up Al Capone's vault, And he'd been talking about it for weeks, and he made bets with people that he would sing if there was nothing, and everyone's wondering what's in the vault. What's in the vault? Is it money? Is it dead bodies? Is it his actual taxes? He did file them. No, and when they open it up and they get it all, the smoke clears and they look inside, and there's absolutely nothing in it. It is completely empty, and he looks like a complete ass. And
I learned that from The Simpsons.
Right. Yeah.
There was nothing in Al Capone's vault, but it wasn't Geraldo's fault.
No.
Yeah. Dope. Yeah.
All right. On February 15th, millions of people worldwide take part in massive anti-war protests in anticipation of the United States and its allies invading Iraq to kill Saddam Hussein, his family, and members of his government. I remember that protest. It was all over. I remember thinking, hey, this might actually work. Boy, and that's because I was young and
How did that end?
Oh, we'll get there. On February 20th, I wonder if people here remember this. The Station nightclub fire occurs in West Warwick, Rhode Island, kills 100 people,
Yes.
injures 230, and 132 escape uninjured. The fire was caused by pyrotechnics set off by the tour manager of the evening's headlining band, Great White.
Oh yeah.
Which ignited flammable acoustic foam in the walls and ceilings surrounding the stage. It reached flashover within one minute, which that means all the flammable material inside reached a boiling point where it basically releases gas, and that just causes it all to almost simultaneously combust. And intense black smoke engulfed the club within 2 minutes. Video footage of the fire shows its ignition, rapid growth, billowing smoke made escape impossible. Many of the survivors developed post-traumatic stress disorder. The fire is the 4th deadliest at a nightclub in U.S. history and the 2nd deadliest in New England, surpassed by, of course, the 1942 Coconut Grove fire, which resulted in 492 deaths. You don't remember that?
What?
Yeah. So that Grove fire there.
That's crazy.
It was a building where a lot of shit happened after the fact. Every single fire exit was blocked. There was just fire hazards throughout the entire building. They had like something there at the time where it was packed with people. Obviously, 492 deaths. Nobody could escape.
Sure.
Doors were blocked, and so after that, you have emergency exits. You can't block emergency exits. All that shit was enacted after that fire.
Oh wow!
So that's the reason you have
after 1942.
Yeah, after the Coconut Grove fire, which resulted in all these safety measures being taken. But yes, I remember the Great White, and I was just remember thinking, well, who the fuck's going to go see Great White? And I was like,
yeah, I know, right?
Fuck.
That video is on YouTube, I believe. That's
right, yeah.
It's horrific.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah,
and actually, I was just watching a documentary about that fire and like who's to blame and
who they blame.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
The fire marshal for not getting rid of that flammable foam.
Right.
The owners, of course, for letting too many people in. I think they were over capacity.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And there was another exit to the side of the stage that the bouncers didn't allow anyone through, even during the fire, because it was for the band only.
Oh my god!
Like all sorts of just terrible shit happened, and it was
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was real bad.
It kind of reminds me, how like in Derry and Stephen King novels, there's just like these horrible incidents that happen. 30 years ago, there was the Great Fire of this, and there's this, and it just seems to be happening over and over again. It just happened. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's where my mind. I went to Carrie. I thought of the movie Carrie.
Yeah.
I think Chris was talking about it.
Well, yeah, it
with Derry and wasn't black people were purposely put into that place and then set on fire.
Yep. Yeah.
Like a meat pack.
Just all the terrible stuff. Yeah.
And it's just I mean, he gets it from somewhere. On February 27th, Fred Rogers dies at the age of 74 due to stomach cancer. Mr. Rogers died. Last time I remember seeing Mr. Rogers on TV was when he did a little PSA to America, to United States.
Oh yeah, for 9/11.
For 9/11. Yep. That was the last time I saw him on TV. Yeah.
He's such a great guy, man. Like he was
Oh,
he was
Yes.
kind of like a spiritual guru in a way.
right. He's a fucking saint. He really is.
Yeah.
I have to think that he has to be a little bit crazy. You have to be a little bit crazy to be that nice.
Yeah.
To be that nice all the
Right.
time, and nothing bothers him. If it does bother him, he doesn't show it in any sort of negative way. He does it. He's just like, you could not make a more perfect human being than Fred Rogers. It,
Hmm.
if people have never seen that, there's a documentary. Won't You Be My Neighbor? Isn't that what it's called? But
I
I
think.
think so. It's
Or
really good.
It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. One,
One
or
of
the
those
other.
two.
Yeah.
There's one with Tom Hanks too. It's
Yes,
not bad.
and that's a pretty good movie. Yeah.
Mhm. I
Mhm.
prefer the documentary, but Tom Hanks not bad.
Right.
Esteban, do you have any fond Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers neighborhood memories, or anything
I
else?
mean, yeah, I think I'm going to be the voice, a different voice. I think he's a bit overrated personally.
Oh.
If there was ever a person to shit on, right? Mr. Rogers is the guy.
God damn it.
I would love you to tell him. I'm it's a shame he's not alive. Sorry, sir. I just think you're overrated, man.
Yeah, he's a little overrated.
Yeah.
To be honest, though, I work with a youth organization, and we do have 2 Mr. Rogers awards that we do give out every year at their fair, and we give kids copies of some books that were written by him. So clearly,
Well, there you go.
the closest thing to a saint that you can still shit on a podcast.
Yeah. I mean, you're shit ahead, guy.
Yeah.
Go ahead. On March 10th, the Dixie Chicks caused controversy with their statement of being ashamed that the president is from Texas. The remarks were made in protest of the United States' impending invasion of Iraq. The group is dropped on radio playlists. Their albums are steamrolled, and they receive multiple death threats. That's the thing that killed me, is that they're steamrolled. They still steamroll. Even then, the steamroll seems to be only around for just album destruction. You know, it's funny as fuck.
Whoa, wait! You're talking a literal steamroller
A
rolling
literal
over them?
steamroller. Yeah.
Oh my god! I thought
Yeah.
that was just like a term for something.
No, they did that in the 70s, or I think late
that's-
70s, early 80s with disco. The steamrolled albums. They always
I think-
steamrolled Beatles albums.
I think that's awesome.
Right. Well, I mean, it's just funny to me that that's an extension of the steamroller, is rolling over albums.
Yeah.
It's just one of the things. God, you people renting steamrollers, you figure that's what's going on. And they received multiple death threats, so that's cool. I mean, I don't know if they're brave or just didn't realize how much this would affect their career, but the Dixie Chicks are on an island to themselves in where they are musically. Their country.
Yeah.
Don't ever
I'm gonna
say
say, is
anything
that
bad
just
about a
'cause they're-
Republican.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's because they're demographic.
Yes.
Right. And they
Yeah.
just either don't know their demographic, or they're incredibly brave and don't care.
Somehow, some way.
So
I'm gonna go with they don't know.
I think that they do, and they just didn't care. And they just didn't realize that it would be this bad. I think they figured they could get away with it. It might ruffle some feathers, but on the whole, they'd be okay. And
Right.
it was not the case.
Well, at least they then set the bar then for
Yeah.
what
Right.
other entertainers shouldn't do
Right.
if they're in that industry.
On March
Be
11th,
pro-war, basically, I guess.
right? Yeah. Don't have an
Yeah.
opinion that differs from mine, or we'll steamroll your albums and
Yeah,
give you death threats.
that's crazy.
On March 11th, freedom fries are introduced to the American public.
Oh,
Free
man.
GOP,
I miss freedom fries.
3 GOP representatives took the idea from a Beaufort, North Carolina's Cubby's restaurant, whose owner was inspired by similar actions taken in protest of Germany in World War I. For example, sauerkraut was changed to Liberty cabbage, and frankfurters were changed to hot dogs. They changed those names because of that. World War I, this guy's like, I remember that, bring that back. The Republican representatives ordered 3 house cafeterias to change French fries and toast to freedom fries and toast. This action was taken due to France's refusal to join U.S. in their invasion of Iraq. You guys ever have any freedom fries, freedom toast, any of that?
Now, I've had fascist fries, but that's today.
Love that.
No, I think it's interesting though that just because I do remember the hate with France being pretty tense. Like I mean, it was, we weren't going to go to war or anything, which is why I think it's funny that they want to rename these things, but it's stupid, and we've done stupider things, but it's still stupid.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. I just remember the, freedom fries, and just like as if it was a good idea, as if it was going to change anything, as if it would matter. It just seems to be patting themselves in their own back. I don't, and just for nothing really, for not even a big deal. And it's interesting that there was a lot of hatred directed towards France for not joining in on our war. You would think the hatred would be, directed towards, some sort of Islamic terrorist group, but the thing is, we don't eat any of their food. So I think
What
that's how
about
that is.
like Russia? Can we rename
We should.
Freedom Mules?
on,
else?
on March 20th,
What else?
the Iraq War begins.
Freedom Ka.
I was gonna say something with vodka. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just call it Friedka.
Friedka.
Friedka. Yeah. Sure.
Gosh. And on March 20th, the Iraq War begins. I remember that. I remember we went and pretty much just bombed the hell out of them. And by April 9th, we seized control of Baghdad and ended the rule of Saddam Hussein. There's a famous video of people in Iraq taking down his statue, stuff like that.
Mhm.
I remember the Iraq War was interesting because it was the first war that I actually knew people that went to. It was the first war that people that I saw graduate that are a couple years older than me that joined the army, they just went straight in. So it was the first time that I experienced something along those lines. So a more personal war for me to watch that happen. So that's began an interest in it, to say the least, to see what was going on. Do you guys remember anything about the Iraq War that stuck out to you? I mean, we're pretty much just going to cover the whole war this year, the entire, or how long we were there, and stuff like that. But so on the whole, do you remember much about the Iraq War? Brad?
I just remember thinking it odd that, we were in Afghanistan, then suddenly moved to Iraq,
Yeah.
which I don't know. I still think that's kind of weird, right? I mean,
Yeah.
unless there's a perfectly reasonable explanation that I just
Sure.
never learned.
I think there's a movie called Dick, isn't it? Dick, or is it? Oh, I can't remember what it's called.
It's called Vice.
Vice. Yeah, four-letter
but-
word.
Yeah.
Probably is.
That'd be great if it was called
Dick,
Dick.
though.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. Oh man.
They've been trying to. What it's come out later about it is that since the Gulf War, people thought that George H.W. Bush should have went all the way to Baghdad when
Right,
Iraq
yeah.
invaded Kuwait and all that. So
Right. So basically, there's saying that Junior basically just
Yeah, he
finished what his dad
continued.
started.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And
okay.
but what happened is that they lied to like all the country, basically saying that that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction.
Right, yeah,
you
never
know,
found
and
any of
that
those.
Never found those. We were basically like I think it was on television too that Colin Powell like had like a vial.
yeah, that
that
was
he said
for
was,
the
like,
UN.
anthrax or something.
Yeah, he was talking
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
UN.
Yeah, and saying that he'll have bombs or something the size of this, and it was a little vial. So it'd be very dangerous. There's just kind of a way of trying to convince them that they should go to war, and it worked.
Yeah, Colin Powell referred
and
to that as the most shameful thing he ever did in his career.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it did work, for that.
Yeah.
For not every country joined us, obviously France. But
Right.
we had enough, and completely unpopular war in America and in across the world. Incredibly unpopular. Nobody liked it. There is an interesting thing to the whole dilemma, and we got into Iraq with the idea of taking out Saddam Hussein, but we didn't seem to think too far ahead on what the fuck we were going to do to get out. and are we going to leave the place
Right.
better than when we found it? You know, and what we're going to have a democracy there, which again also flies in the face of what Bush was saying when he was running for president in 2000. How Al Gore got asked a question about nation building, and Al Gore said he was going to nation build. He would go in that direction if necessary. And Bush responded with, "I don't think the U.S. should be going into other countries and telling them how to live." And within a few years, that tone
Right.
completely flipped. It's just,
Yeah.
and that's politics, you know.
Mhm. Right.
That's again, it's like a politician, but it's it weapons of mass destruction, the WMDs that were never there. But when we took out Saddam, we left a vacuum, and I think that's the big
Mhm.
issue. Is that although he was incredibly horrible, he deserved what he got. Don't get me wrong here. You know, he's a terrible human being. The interesting thing is that he was so terrible that he kept other crazy people from rising up. And after he's taken out and there's no one there to fill that void, it gets filled with what we had: ISIS and other, terrorist organizations. Al Qaeda's back. After we got out of Afghanistan, Al Qaeda took that over. They're just waiting for us to leave. So for all the good that it did, it also caused a big mess, I feel. Esteban, do you have any thoughts on the Iraq war?
Well, I do think I alluded to this decade specifically. If it was one of the 7 deadly sins, it was wrath. And this is a very good example of that being the case. The theme for this decade is wrath. And yeah, going into an unlawful war with Iraq based on myth is certainly part of that. But I'll also just say the idea of nation building and like how the US thinks that that's like a viable strategy, and why they continue to think that is actually going all the way back to like World War II, because it was very lucrative for us in this country to rebuild Japan and Germany, and it worked out in both those cases. They became pretty big economies in their own right. And sometimes we feel like that we could just do that again, and that'll boost our economy for another generation. And I don't know which one of you said it, but yeah, sometimes people just want to be left alone and they don't want to do things the way you do things.
Yeah.
And that's actually most of the world today. And I think sometimes we forget that.
I agree. Yeah.
Yes.
War in Iraq. We'll talk a bit about that a little bit, and we'll move on now to April 28th. Apple opens the iTunes Music Store, offering 200,000 songs for download at a cost of 99 cents each. More than 1 million songs are sold in the store's first week. Now, I think at the time that was not a bad idea. As you see now, it's evolved to streaming platform like Spotify and whatnot, Amazon, where you get all the songs you could ever want for $15 a month, which is interesting. I can see both ways here, because with the iTunes you can get, I said it like an old man, with the iTunes music store, you get what you want and you pay for that once and you always have it. You don't have to pay again. It's not a monthly subscription. You just pick what you want, which is nice. In a way that would work out for me when I'm not feeling very adventurous and I'm not listening to any sort of music that just comes across. I just know what I want and that's it. That works. But on the other flip side, it limits your ability to experience other music that you're not aware of. And just hitting shuffle on something on Spotify, like a playlist or something, you'll just come across songs from bands you've never heard of. That's just how it is. So both of them have their benefits and their drawbacks, but on the whole, I think the Spotify is the better way of going about it. Thoughts? You guys ever use iTunes? Did you ever download any songs for 99 cents? Because I still use was it LimeWire?
Right.
And
I remember that. Yeah.
Not Napster at that point. Napster was already gone. But LimeWire.
Yeah, Napster was gone, but then
I used iTunes just to hold my or to browse my collection of music that I downloaded off of LimeWire or Napster or whatever it was. Kazaa was one too, I believe.
Yeah.
And I wasn't into iTunes at all. But I will say this: I don't know what year it was, but Pandora started in Chicago. I was listening to Q101 when they had the people that founded it on the show. I was the 50th person ever on Pandora.
Nice.
Wow, what an
Still have-
honor.
I still
Yeah.
have that account. Yep.
You should have your own. You
It
should
used
have
to
your
tell
own
you at the
Wikipedia.
bottom. What's
Really?
that?
You should be on your. You should have your own Wikipedia.
I should sell it. I
Yeah.
should see if I can sell it.
Why
So-
not?
Yeah. Yeah. Why not? What can you get that? Probably maybe 10 grand. It might be worth it.
Yeah, at least 10 grand.
At least.
50th.
50th, dude. Wow.
On May 23rd, Dewey, the first deer cloned by scientists at Texas A&M University, is born. Dewey. They clone. Like what they clone? They cloned Dolly. That's I think that was that sheep's name.
The
Dolly.
sheep, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was in the 90s though. So yeah, they've moved on to deer.
Wow.
And then 5 days later, Promethea, the world's first cloned horse, is born in Italy. They're just cloning shit now. By 2003, they're cloning things by twice a week. So
Well- Well, wait. So they're doing that. What are they cloning now then?
Yeah,
I haven't
that's
heard
right.
anything about cloning in a
that's
long
what
time.
I was wondering. It's because no one talks about it anymore. Either it's not that big of a deal, or they've gotten really advanced. And
Or it's a
We're not allowed to
huge
know.
deal.
Right.
We need
I think
Alex
you guys-
Jones.
I think you guys are all just like pretending not to know that you are clones. Yeah, I think.
Oh, come on now. Don't
Fuck.
start that.
That's something a clone would say.
Yeah.
that?
Oh no.
All right, this is a pretty big one, I think. August 1st, MySpace debuts. MySpace.
Oh, yeah.
Esteban, do you have a MySpace? Do you still have a MySpace?
I did have a MySpace, and I
Yes.
remember just fretting all day over like what music video I was going to have on there or something. That was it. That was what my life was pretty complicated. It was like, Sugar Ray or, no, Sugar Ray.
Brad?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it still exists. MySpace is still around. And I remember I put my original music on it. And I mean I don't even know what year it was. It wouldn't have been 2003. It was probably 2004, 2005 that I got MySpace. But and then the bulletin board or the blog thing. Remember that? You would
Yeah,
type
oh yeah.
your-
Yeah, for sure.
I have all of mine downloaded,
Do
all
you
my
really?
posts. Yeah, it is so cringy. I won't
Oh
even
my
talk
God.
about it anymore now. I have
Oh,
to stop.
No, you have to bring it. You have to read them on this podcast. You have to read
No.
one per
Yeah.
podcast. This is like
Yeah.
Carl
Oh,
Pilkington's
God. It's
diary.
so-
It could be
you have to do it. You have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have it on an external hard drive, and I feel like I need to
Buried in your
smash it.
backyard.
I need to smash it with a hammer.
That's an
I
Something.
wish I had
artifact, man.
mine.
It is an artifact. That's why I'm keeping it. But oh my God.
Is there a way for you to get could I get mine? Because
Yeah, I believe so. If you just Google it,
okay,
get MySpace blog. There's some way to download it.
okay, I'll check that
Maybe.
out. I'll read one of mine if you read one of yours.
No.
Okay, I'll just read one of mine.
Okay.
Nick, did you use MySpace?
Yeah, I definitely did.
Do you have any
That was
highlights?
I mean, it was just all I remember is having top friends and people talking about how, hey, you got all those, I should be on your top list.
Right.
I should be number one, number two, or whatever.
Yeah.
But then also, having the blogs like you guys are talking about. You can have a playlist. People write on your wall and stuff, just like like posting and works on Facebook, and of course the photos and stuff. But yeah, it was in my middle school years, I believe,
Okay.
maybe early high school, going to early high school, and it was just me in my emo phase, pop punk
Same here.
emo phase, and studded belts, studded bracelets, chain wallets, eyeliner, all the stuff. Really tight clothing.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was MySpace, out
MySpace
before
days.
Facebook?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then everyone went to Facebook, and then everyone's parents and grandparents went to Facebook, and then it was
That was
shit.
it. Yep.
Yeah, that was the end of it.
My MySpace experience was pretty good. I would constantly fuck with people. I would constantly make my profile picture something grotesque or just what the fuck kind of picture is that, man?
Yeah.
I would constantly have like when
I
someone
remember
got to my
this.
page, it would play
Yeah.
the worst music you've ever heard. It would play the worst
Okay.
thing, and people would be like, I'm not gonna. I was like, you gotta come visit my page, man. And they're like, okay. And they click on it, and it's like William Hung singing,
Right.
I
Oh,
believe
yeah.
I can fly or something. And people were like, I can't listen, I can't do anything. I won't visit your page anymore, man. But that's what I really
Right.
enjoyed about it, was fucking with people in that regard.
Chris, I remember your I don't know what it was called, like the bio or about me section was this really long paragraph. I think I don't know what it was from. I think you copied it from something, but the line I remember is, I've reinvented myself so many times that I've forgotten that I'm actually an elderly Korean woman. Something like that. I feel like that was from something, but that was in there. It's like, what the hell?
I believe I know where I kind of got that from. That's my own reworking of it. That's from Third Rock from the Sun. Harry has his ID, and his ID says he's a Korean woman.
Oh, okay.
And I thought that was so funny. And I was just like, so I've this big long, I've reinvented myself so many times. I forget I'm a Korean woman, and so that's kind of where that went from. If I'm not mistaken, that's where I got that. That's actually, MySpace was the first place I heard any Chuck Norris jokes. I was just like perusing other people's pages, and there's somebody in California who had top 50 Chuck Norris jokes, and I was like, what the fuck are Chuck Norris jokes? And I couldn't stop laughing at him.
I heard the first time I heard a Chuck Norris joke, I believe, was actually in the Barons chat in World of Warcraft.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and because that was just loaded with them, and I love that. And then I actually ended up getting a Chuck Norris joke T-shirt.
You did.
I was like I was like 15 or
Did
something.
it have a list of
list of them?
jokes on it?
No, the joke was Chuck Norris rolling up his sleeve,
Uh-huh.
and it said, after partying all night, Chuck Norris doesn't throw up, he throws down.
Huh.
Yeah.
I think it was WoW that made Chuck Norris jokes mainstream, though.
Probably.
For sure, yeah, I definitely
probably.
heard it there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chuck Norris can slam a revolving door. My favorite one was probably Chuck Norris doesn't sleep, he waits. And I just thought,
Oh, yeah,
hilarious.
that's
He
a good
just
one.
Yeah, he
just
just sits there.
eyes closed.
I
not really
think my favorite's the Chuck Norris didn't. Oh, was it? You didn't call the wrong number, or I don't remember what it was. Chuck Norris didn't. I don't know, something about answer the wrong phone. I don't know. I can't think of it.
Good
All right.
one.
If you remember
Yeah,
it later,
thanks.
we'll come back to it. On August 14th, the Northeast blackout of 2003 cuts electricity to the northeastern United States and parts of Canada. The blackout's proximate cause was a software bug in the alarm system at the control room of First Energy, an Akron, Ohio company, which rendered operators unaware of the need to redistribute load after overloaded transmission lines drooped into foliage. What should have been a manageable local blackout cascaded into the collapse of much of the Northeast regional electricity distribution system. I remember that happening, and people were freaking out because this is only a couple years, not even 2 years for 9/11. We were in a code yellow. And all of a sudden the blackout happens, and we're not sure. Yeah, everyone on the East Coast is freaking out. And it actually ended up being really cool, because they had already gone through some sort of tragedy. So everyone is out and about. They're thinking, we're going to get attacked here. They actually ended up all like hanging out together, and like everybody in New York was just like grilling and having a good time, drinking, dancing. And they then someone sold T-shirts about surviving the blackout, and whatever. Again, this whole end of the world merchandise system I've got to get myself into. There's got to be some. I feel like I can make some money there.
You said it was a software bug, so yeah, must be a Y2K making it a comeback.
Right? That's a late
Trying
call.
to.
Yeah. Eventually got here. Who would have suspected Y2K at that point? Not me. They were just off by a couple years. On August 18th, 1-year-old Zachary Turner is murdered by his mother in Conception Bay, South Canada. She had been controversially bailed and granted custody of the toddler even though she was facing extradition and trial in the U.S. for the murder of Zachary's father. The case inspired the movie
Holy
Dear
shit.
Zachary and prompted a change in Canadian law. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's the
What
movie
the
Dear
hell?
Zachary. Yeah. So
Yes.
I've never even heard of that.
yeah, the mother killed her son and then killed herself.
Oh my
so,
god.
it's
what
a
the
yeah,
whole
hell?
tragic
watch
thing.
watch Dear Zachary, the
Yeah.
documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whoa. That brings back some
Right.
memories. I mean, I don't remember that happening, but I definitely remember watching that documentary.
Yeah, it's a
It's
disturbing.
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very messed up.
Esteban, you ever watched Dear Zachary, or do you remember this at all?
I'm cutting chicken currently, so you.
That's code. All
I'm
right.
sort of saying, yeah.
Okay.
No, it's not code. It is not.
It's,
Brad can verify this. Brad's watching the deal.
yeah, it's a little distracting.
Uh,
I'm transfixed by it.
September 11th of 2003, John Ritter dies from an undiagnosed aortic dissection at the age of 54, hours after falling ill on the set of his sitcom, 8 Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter. I remember where I was when I heard the news that John Ritter died. I was on a couch, sitting on a couch with this girl. We were watching the news. I think it was after school, but I had gone to Valpo and like everyone had left the apartment. It was just her and I, and in the middle, of hanging out, I just see on the news, John Ritter dies. And I'm like, what? And I just stopped and I just immediately was like, I was just overcome with sadness, and I never really experienced that per se. John Ritter, I watched Problem Child a lot when I was a kid,
Yes, I remember
watched
him in
John-
that.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was just yeah. So he was actually kind of part of my childhood. So just to see him die, it just came completely by surprise. And he's 54 as well. So, do you remember? So you remember where you were, or at least remember hearing about that, Brad, when John Ritter died?
I'm sure I heard about it, but probably at that time I didn't really know who that was exactly, like the name,
Mhm.
But yeah, at that time, yeah, Problem Child. I mean, I don't think I was watching it then, but I grew up with that movie,
Mhm.
and the second one too. He was
Yeah,
in, right?
Problem Child too. Yep. And Gilbert Godfrey, he was in those
Yes.
movies.
Oh,
as well.
of course.
Yeah. Which I probably should have mentioned him because he passed away I think past week then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a heart condition
sad.
too, I believe.
Yeah. There's a really good documentary called Gilbert. It's on Peacock.
Yeah, I
If you
still
don't
have
have
to check
Peacock,
that out.
You
Yeah.
should watch it.
I love Gilbert. I actually had a chance to see him live, but I remember turning it down, and I just regret turning it down. I've always regretted that because I just got more and more into him.
Yeah.
That really sucks.
I think my favorite thing that I found out about Gilbert in that documentary is how fucking cheap he is. He still rode the bus.
Yeah.
He rode the Greyhound bus to his shows. He always asked for free
Right.
deodorant and free bars of soap, and then he'd take it
Mhm.
with him, and he put him in this big plastic bin under his bed, and it was so bad we had to suck the air out of these packages so you could even fit more in. And just bars of soap and shampoos. Just
Oh yeah, him being cheap. I came across him telling a story like anytime him and Norm Macdonald would go out, he would always make Norm pay, like one way or another, because he's so cheap.
So yeah, if you go on about Gilbert Gottfried, he was a really
Oh,
funny
yeah.
guy. I think it was September. I think it was September 20th. I think it was like a week and a half or so after 9/11
Mhm.
that they had the roast for Hugh Hefner, and he gets up there
Right.
and he tells the joke. I got to catch a flight back to LA. It's going to be a bit longer flight. We got to make a pit stop off at the Empire State Building, and
Nice.
and
Jeez.
someone boo boo.
Yeah.
Someone from the crowd yells too soon, and he does this weird stretch on the podium where he's trying to you're thinking that he's trying to find a hole to crawl into, but he's probably trying. My guess is he's trying not to just freak out and just go off on a tangent, which he kind of does. He tells the aristocrats joke.
Yeah.
and he just
Oh,
gets into the
yeah,
most
that's-
filthiest shit you've ever heard. He's like, and the
Yeah.
mother's fucking the son, and the son's fingering the father, and the daughter, and it's just going off on this thing, and the
Yeah.
dog's licking the owner's ass, and it's just going off, and he just keeps going. It went on for like 10 minutes, where it just got to the point where everybody was laughing at the end, and he dug himself such a hole and managed to get
Uh-huh.
himself out in the next moment. It
Right.
was crazy. So yeah, Gilbert Gottfried, rest in peace.
Mhm.
On
For sure.
September 24th, the Hubble Space Telescope starts the Hubble Ultra Deep Field. Excuse me, making 800 exposures until January 16th, 2004. Now, if you've seen Hubble telegraphs, these are the telegraphs. This is where it came from, where shots of our universe from the Hubble
Mhm.
telescope. This is where it all started. They're fantastic. If you haven't seen them, check them out. They're really awe-inspiring. They really are.
Yeah, for sure. You know that the James Webb Telescope actually just launched this past December, which is much, much further. Actually, so far that how like when the Hubble was launched, like not long after they did like I don't know, I think it was like 3 spacewalks on him
Okay.
in order to like add things to it, fix it up, make it a little better. And but the thing is, you can't do that with the James Webb one that they sent out back in December because it's so far out. So it's kind of like, well, I hope it works, But so far, it's been doing really well. I can't wait to see those pictures, man. It's gonna be
Oh, I
amazing.
know. Yeah, Brad, do you have any thoughts on the Hubble? Any of the pictures? that you've seen
Yeah,
of?
well, of course. I recall it must have been around that time, or maybe shortly after, on a Dateline, that show on NBC.
Oh yeah,
they were
Catch a
like-
Predator.
Yeah, that was part of it. But like it was like at the very end, it's like, oh, we have this awesome Hubble space picture for you, and they
Mhm.
showed it, and it was at Pillars of Creation, I think is what it's called. Looks like fingers made up
Oh,
of
yeah, I
it's
know
like
what you're talking about.
nebula
Yeah.
gas finger things, and I just thought that was the coolest shit I've ever seen. As however old I was,
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
for
it was
sure.
quite beautiful.
Can I I just want to take a poll. How many of us are like in the camp of, man, I hope we discover extraterrestrial life and meet them? Raise a hand. Show of hands. How many of us?
Well, I'm not raising my hand.
Show of hands.
Show of hands.
I'm keeping my hand down.
Hoping that we do discover extraterrestrial life. I mean, yeah, that would be a good thing. It would shatter our world. But yeah, I don't know what.
Literally shatter?
Well, it
Maybe.
I
it-
think,
depending
I
on
think
what they wanna
literally
do.
shatter. Yeah.
It really
I think-
depends.
They could. Here's the
Either-
thing that though they could be involved with other. They could already know the existence of some other terrestrial life, right? Have already have known them, right? So like if we then find them, then we can be entangled in a web of all these other lives that they might have their own politics. They could have all these things going on. So
Right.
it could definitely be very, very dangerous for us, but it would be pretty great to shatter the religious beliefs. Get rid of theocracy in the world. It would be pretty amazing.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I
but yeah.
think either they would destroy us or we would destroy them. Like there would be no peace. I don't think
Right. Right.
It would
something
be
bad would happen.
Incredibly
Certainly.
hard.
Absolutely.
It would
yeah.
be when we discovered them or they discovered us, it would take a very long time for us to be on any sort of level where we understand each other, because the differences will be so great that there's just no way
Oh, sure.
that we can
Profound.
they're not going to just come down on their spaceship, say, hey Bob, how's it going, we were in the neighborhood.
Right.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
That's
they're
how
not
it
going to be a
works. So you're
bunch of
mowing the
guys
grass.
in silver jumpsuits or
Right.
anything. Like, whoa, they look just like us,
Right.
just like in
Yeah.
the movies.
It'll be interesting to, yeah, who knows, maybe someday.
Mhm.
I won't be around for it, so it's neither here nor there. On October 1st, 4chan is launched.
Why?
I remember that. No, I don't remember that, but I mean, I remember
it's
4chan is geez, that's like a cesspool. I always feel like it's a cesspool
it
of
is
just like the
it's
worst shit
just
imaginable.
depravity. Yeah, but in a way, you have to admire it because it is just like the Wild West of the internet. I guess just anything goes there. Just doesn't matter.
Yeah, in that regard. Yeah.
Yeah, in that regard, it's an awful place.
4chan. On October
Mhm.
14th, hold on one second here. Got like something stuck in my throat. It's like dry. October 14th, Steve Bartman inadvertently causes the complete meltdown of the Chicago Cubs in the 8th inning of Game 6 in the NCLS. Now, I remember where I was when I heard this happen. I was listening to it over the radio because the Cubs, the Chicago Cubs, the lovable losers, that's what they call themselves, are in like the 8th inning of the like 2 more outs or whatever it was, and they are in the World Series. They haven't won the pennant since like 1908 or something. And I'm at Subway cleaning up for the evening, and like the store is closed. I'm just doing like shit in the back, and I'm listening to the game, and I hear, bullseye, left field. Moses Alou goes to grab it, and then a fan has interfered with the game, and Moses Alou is upset. And I was like,
Oh yeah.
oh,
I
shit.
remember this.
And then like after that, it's like, all right, we're getting back to the game here. Someone's like, someone better watch out for that fan. He's going to be in real trouble. And the next thing here, and or was it like it was like a misplay. It goes through the player's legs. Oh, he's around, second. Oh, the Marlins have scored. And eventually the Cubs lost the game.
Man.
And all they needed was 2 more outs, and that was it. And they lost not only Game 6, but they lost Game 7. And Steve
Not
Bartman
gonna lie, dude. I
had to be ushered
I remember
out of-
watching this.
You watched that?
Yeah, I was. Actually, Mom and I were both watching that game.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you remember much about it? Besides, remember?
Well, I mean, I just remember because it was because I never was really into baseball. I mean, I played baseball growing up, but I never really watched it. But the Cubs were winning, and the Cubs were pretty far in, and yeah, I remember basically watching them lose, and it had to do with that one guy, and that one guy, everyone blaming that guy on them not going as far, them not winning, basically.
Yeah,
like they were cursed.
Right. The Billy Goat curse.
Yeah.
What's really funny is that if you look and you watch that video, I think ESPN did a 30 for 30 on it. I think that's what the program was called. Where if you look and you see, there's a bunch of fans with their hands out. It just so happens to be Bartman's that the ball hits.
Right.
So Moses Alou,
any one of
them could have been blamed.
Yeah.
This guy, Steve Bartman, is at the Cubs game with headphones on. Why? Because he's listening to the Cubs game. He's listening to the game that he's at because he likes the announcers on the radio. He is a lifelong Cubs fan, and he happens to be in a play that will forever be known as that caused the meltdown. Even though he's really not to be blamed. The Cubs still had plenty of opportunities to win, and they had a whole other game. They had a whole other game. You didn't make it to that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
but they blame. That's what I'm saying. They blame that one incident. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brad.
People love a scapegoat.
Right. Yeah.
They do.
That poor guy, man. That poor guy.
I know. I felt so bad. People are throwing
man.
beers at him, throwing food at him.
Yeah.
They had to escort him out of there. They're pretty afraid for his life. His most beloved team. He loves more than anything in the world. He's now the number one enemy. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
That's
awful. That's awful.
Esteban, do you have any thoughts on that?
It's just, Cubs fans, I think they're holier than thou sometimes. And, they're just monsters. They're just all atrocious human beings. So,
that's good.
Just this was just them taking off their mask. That's all this was. Nothing to see here. They should move the team to like Schaumburg.
Schaumburg Cubbies. I can see it.
Esteban is now public enemy number 1 for the Cubs.
Well, I believe Esteban is a White Sox fan, so there's some, some added.
Well, naturally, he's an enemy then.
Yeah, naturally.
Oh yeah.
It's just another day at the office for White Sox fan. November 17th, Arnold Schwarzenegger is sworn in as governor of California. The governor.
Yeah, he was a Republican.
Yeah.
Too,
and if I'm not mistaken, he left that that state in pretty bad shape. Yeah, by the time he was done, it was not very good. Overwhelmingly voted out within his term. I think after his first term, something like that. Yeah, he just he didn't last long. But I remember when that happened, I was like, God damn. But to think about where he came from, to what he's accomplished, and now he's the governor of
Right.
California. That's crazy.
Right. It is pretty crazy.
That's a crazy life he's lived.
For my
Mhm.
money, California is the worst state to live in today, currently.
I wouldn't doubt it. I would not
You know
doubt
what's
it.
crazy about that? Did you know that California is #1 when it comes to elderly population, and #2 is Florida? I thought Florida would.
You figure it would be
#1.
Florida, no?
Yeah.
So-
Is that
all
you
the
agreeing with me? Is that you?
Well, what's funny? Well, that's funny because it kind of ties into it. Because it's like, why would I want to live somewhere with like millions of elderly people?
I think maybe I don't know. Maybe the wave of them died off in Florida. I don't know. Maybe it was the pandemic.
Jesus.
Maybe it was the
Oh
pandemic.
God.
It could have been.
Yeah.
And the way their lax
Possibly.
laws are, way that
Sure.
way they are. So I mean,
Sure.
I could see that being the case. On
Yeah.
December 13th, this will be our last mention for the date for the 2003. What happened in 2003? On December 13th, Saddam Hussein is captured by the U.S. Army. I have a friend who was in the army who was in Iraq, and I remember him telling me that he was there, and the next thing he knows is there's a shit ton of helicopters flying over his head. No one has told him anything that's going on, and it became pretty obvious that something big was up, and they found Saddam Hussein in a hole. He looked pretty disheveled, to be honest.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was the end of his reign there in Iraq. I believe he would face trial a few years later in the United States, found guilty on all
Right.
counts, and I believe he was hung. I believe
He
that
was.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
And an ensuing civil war between the Sunnis and what was it?
Shiites.
Shiites. Yeah.
Yep. That happened.
Went through Iraq. Then there
Mhm.
was the insurgency
Mhm.
to the coalition forces, and it was just an incredibly long fight of all of that.
Yeah.
Did you say he was captured by the United States, or I thought he was captured by like the people there, right? Because I remember him being like drug out of the hole by Iraqi people.
They might have been probably, but the way that the history is written by the victors, and the U.S. Army is going to take credit for that one.
Well, it wasn't just the U.S. that was involved. I mean, right? It was UK, Poland, right?
Yeah, the
Some
U.S.
other, I think Australia.
It could have been actually found out by somebody from that country or their army.
These people did not look British or Austrian, or just I'm just saying they didn't look that.
Right? Yeah.
Unless those countries are more diverse than I thought. I don't know.
All right, guys, we will now move into the entertainment section of 2003. And we will do the top 10 movies in terms of gross for the year 2003. We'll do 10 to 1. And at number 10, we have Bad Boys 2. Bad Boys 2.
Never saw it.
I saw parts of it, and I can say with 100% sincerity that I hate this movie. It's really
That
bad.
movie sucks.
It's
This is
so
starring Will Big Palm Smith.
Mhm.
Yes,
Keep his wife's name out of your mouth.
Martin Lawrence.
Smith.
Martin Lawrence.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The soundtrack for that movie, there's a song from that movie that was all over the radio. And I hated that song too. So I literally
Was it
was
it DMX?
No, it wasn't DMX. We'll get to
Oh.
it.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. I was gonna say, what's the
We'll-
song?
We'll get to
Yeah.
it. But for number 9, highest grossing movie of the year, X2, X-Men 2. I liked that movie. I thought it was pretty good. I liked it.
Never
the-
saw it.
The third one, not that great.
Right, never saw it either.
But X-Men 2 was a step up from X-Men. But
Well, that's a step up. Yeah. Okay.
but it's
Yeah.
not it's certainly a free fall by the time it gets to X3. So this is the last good one for a while.
Oh
it's-
man,
Yeah.
never seen
in
it.
top number 8, we had Matrix Revolutions. The Matrix series came to a close in 2003. Well,
That's
sorry,
fine.
they reopened it. again.
I do want to
yeah.
go back to X-Men 2 just for a second.
Sure.
Notable, I think what's notable about X-Men in general, right, is that it was like the first time that you had a cast of superheroes kind of on screen at the same time. Like, I know that's naturally how X-Men is, structured. That's how it works, but I don't think it had been done up to that point. But the first one and then the second one. Obviously, we're talking about the second one. So
Yeah.
we didn't have a Marvel universe yet, is what
Not
I'm
yet.
getting at.
Oh yeah, good point.
Matrix Revolutions. I thought it was so heavily CGI'd by the end. It kind of took me out of it. I didn't quite understand what was going on. It seemed like I remember watching it for the first time and seeing the ending. I mean, like, so I guess Neo's not dead. I don't know where what's going on. Then that the Oracle knew that was going to happen. Somehow, peace is going to last for a little while. The old man in the suit's going to make everything better.
Yeah, the architect. Yeah.
Yeah, the architect, and it's just
Mhm.
yeah, it became too convoluted for me. I'm too stupid to understand that movie. I don't know what's going on there. By the end of that
Well,
movie,
if you haven't given it a rewatch, the series, I highly recommend it. I also recommend the Animatrix as well, to get even more story and background, because it's actually a really great story.
did
Yeah,
they
that-
ruin it with the release of the newest Matrix?
Right, I haven't seen it.
Oh
So,
God, I hated that movie
yeah.
more than this one.
Right.
I
You're talking
just
about the newest one. The newest one's bad.
Yeah.
I stand by the first movie and that's it. Just leave it at the first one. Although the Animatrix did have some really neat stuff in it. So, I don't know. The
Yeah.
first
Well,
movie and some of the Animatrix. That's all I go for.
Well, I liked the battle at the end of the Revolutions with the machines and the people of Zion. I liked in the
Mhm.
second movie all the action sequences and that, and the story for the most part, was exciting seeing somehow, what's that guy's name? Agent Smith is inside. He's not in the Matrix anymore.
Mhm.
And he's right next to Neo. What's going to happen? But it just I don't know. I think I might have gotten Matrix overloaded because that was 2 movies in 1 year. And that's just too much for me. And for for number 7, Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines.
Ugh.
Number 6, The Last Samurai. The
These
Last Samurai.
are these the top movies of that year?
Yeah,
Is
what
that
the
this
hell?
list?
Yeah, top movies in terms of gross of the year 2003.
Man.
The Last Samurai was
Uh-huh.
the next one.
Tom
And,
Cruise, baby. That one's actually
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
I like
That-
that one.
I never saw it, but
Hmm.
cool.
You want to watch a white guy as a samurai in like
Yeah.
feudal Japan?
Oh man, I love whitewashing. That's great.
No. He's actually a white guy, and he's not pretending. No, he's just. It's great.
There was a
Back when
gap in the
we could do
area.
that in movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a gap in the area, and he just thought he'd show up, and he got involved in a war. Number 5, Bruce Almighty. Bruce Almighty was the 5th highest grossing movie of the year.
Meh.
4th highest was Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl. I bought that movie without ever seeing it on DVD. I watched it and I hated it, and I never watched it again. And I felt really stupid for buying it because it was like $20.
I never saw any of those movies.
It's really bad. It's
Just
stupid.
I never had it. It just never appealed to me for some reason.
I thought I'd give it a shot. The cover art looked cool, and that's what I get for judging
Oh,
a
yeah.
DVD by its cover.
Mhm.
I've heard that phrase before, so there you go. Number 3, The Matrix Reloaded. Number 3. Number 2, Finding Nemo.
Oh, there you go.
Finding Nemo. I had not seen Finding Nemo until like 4 years from then, I think 4 years later. A friend of mine came over and she wanted to watch movies. So she picked a movie to watch and I picked a movie to watch. And her movie was Finding Nemo because she
Uh-huh.
couldn't believe that I hadn't seen it. And my movie was Evil Dead. And that is
Hell of a
a
transition.
stark difference between the two.
Yeah.
That's quite the
Uh,
double feature there. Wow.
We started with Finding Nemo and we ended with Evil Dead. I think it was the tree scene that probably did it. That maybe it wasn't the best idea.
that's-
Yeah. But
Mm.
well, that's the movie I picked.
Yeah.
And the top movie, top movie of the year, Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, I
I
watched
think it
that
won Best
movie.
Picture too.
Yep. I watched that movie in the same around the same time I watched Matrix Revolutions. I remember watching The Return of the King and just wondering, thinking it was over, and not realizing there was a whole nother hour. And I was like, wait, and in a way I wasn't like, oh, I can't wait for this to be over, but I'm thinking it's over. I'm getting ready to leave.
Mhm.
No, you still got 45 minutes. Do you guys like Return of the King? Do you have any favorite parts of Return of the King?
Don't remember much of it.
No.
I think I've seen it once.
I remember attempting to see it in theaters, but it was sold out. So
Really? Damn.
yeah, that's all I got for that movie.
Esteban?
That's the Battle of Minas Tirith, right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
a siege of Minas. I mean, come on, that's maybe the best siege of any movie ever made.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff they do really well. Like the first movie I really like because of its lack of CGI, but it's still by the third movie it's not so bad, and it's really, really. I mean, there's a lot of really good scenes in that. The song that Pippin sings while the king has sent his son basically on a suicide mission was really, really good. And to find out that Billy Boyd actually wrote that himself and sings it himself was another little interesting thing that I thought. It was really cool. There's that whole basically like Braveheart speech that Aragorn gives, where like in Braveheart he's like, they can take our land, but they'll never take our freedom. And then Aragorn's version is, a day may come when man will fall, but it is not this day. And he keeps going on and on about it. How it's not this day. And then he says, "For
Yeah.
Frodo," and then he runs out at Mordor, and
Oh,
then the two little hobbits,
that's
Merry and Pippin, run out ahead of everyone else, so they're falling right behind
Uh-huh.
Aragorn. And
Right.
my favorite part still gets to me after all these years is when they have that big meeting. They have that big ceremony with Aragorn, and I believe he's getting married to oh god, the people are gonna kill me, I can't remember her name. But anyway, everyone's bowing to the king, and Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin bow, and Aragorn says, "My friends, you bow to no one," and then he bows, and everyone bows to them.
Right.
And I just thought that was such a cool scene. And it's interesting in the books at the end of, it's not the end of the movie the way they put it. In the end of the hobbits go back to the Shire, and at one point Sauron, I think is it Sauron or Saruman, not the guy with the eye, the white robe fellow,
That is Saruman.
Saruman, he goes back to the Shire and tries to take it over, and Frodo and the hobbits defeat him. So there's a whole extra thing to that. But yeah, that's only in the books.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
favorite line though isn't from that movie. It's from the second one, and it's the whatever the name of the big tree folk guy when he's like, "Release the river." That's the best line of all three movies. Release the river. I want to say that before I die.
Right, that's your last words.
Yep, there you go.
I move now to my personal favorites of 2003.
Mm.
First one, we've got Mystic River. Mystic River.
Fantastic movie.
If you've never seen Mystic
Man,
River,
what a great movie.
really, really good. Really,
Yeah.
really good.
Who stars in that? Who is?
Sean
Is it-
Penn.
Oh, okay. I remember seeing
Kevin
it on
Bacon.
I remember seeing
Kevin
it on
Bacon, yeah.
Netflix. I never watched it, but
Oh,
when you hover over the movie on Netflix, it plays a little scene from it in the background. It's really annoying.
Right.
But yeah, it was Sean Penn just like losing his shit over his daughter dying or something.
my Oh, yeah.
daughter, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I'm like, wow, this is intense, but I never watched
Yeah.
it, so I
It's
don't know.
currently on HBO Max. I just looked it up. I've never
Yeah.
seen it either.
Oh, it's phenomenal. movie.
Oh, gotta see it for sure.
So it's Kevin Bacon, it's Sean Penn, and it's from the Shawshank Redemption. What's his name? Like the guy from the Shaw, not Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman?
Not Morgan Freeman, the other
Oh.
guy. God,
No, the
damn
guy that
it.
played Andy Dufresne.
Yeah,
Andy
Dufresne.
Dufresne.
Isn't his name just
Dufresne.
Andy Dufresne?
Oh, what's the
I
other
don't
guy?
think. Yeah, he just used his real name as the.
Oh.
I can look that
No
up.
idea. I don't
got
know.
you.
I have no idea.
I mean, he's in the
Tim
Hudsucker-
Robbins.
Yeah, Tim Robbins.
Tim Robbins. Yeah.
Tim
yeah.
Robbins. I had to look it up. Tim Robbins Sean Penn, and yeah, Kevin Bacon. Excellent movie. Excellent movie.
For sure.
Since nobody, not a lot of people have seen it, and I still have to see it, I'm gonna hold off on spoiling it, but I highly recommend it. Another personal favorite of mine in 2003, Old School. Old
Oh,
School,
yeah.
Frank the
Oh, yeah,
Tank.
yeah.
I laughed
Yeah.
so hard at that movie. Oh my god, I was dying in the theater. I just loved it, and it's still classic to me. I still laugh at it. Just so
For
many
sure.
scenes in that movie.
I remember
my
the
boy,
scene when he
Blue.
gets when he gets is that the movie where he gets shot in the neck by the tranquilizer dart?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he's like talking in slow motion and
yeah.
falls in the pool, then the Sound of Silence starts playing.
He shoots himself in the
God.
neck. It was really
Yeah.
funny because it's Sean William Scott or whatever his name is, and he
Yes,
comes
yeah,
in. He's like,
yeah.
he's got a mullet on. And he's
Yep.
like, "Be careful with that. That could puncture the hide of a rhino." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" He shoots himself, and he's like, "Yes."
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's awesome. Yeah.
It's like, what's awesome? You got a fucking dart in your neck, man. He's like, "You're crazy." I'm like,
Yeah.
crazy.
I like when he's at the party and these kids want him to drink with him, and he's just like, no, I gotta be
Oh, yeah.
home. I got a really good weekend. Go to the Home Depot. I'm like,
They
telling
look
him
at each other like Home Depot.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna have a
I
nice
think
little
that's just
Saturday.
drunk
Peak Will
anyway.
Ferrell for
Yeah,
sure.
have a
That was
nice little
peak Will
Saturday.
Ferrell.
Yeah, we're going straight
Yeah.
in. Right, Pete Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Right. So many
Yeah.
classic lines in that movie. Just it's so good. Another personal favorite of mine, Kill Bill Volume 1,
Ooh,
2003. Yeah. That movie was amazing. Just so over the top and just epic, amazing. It just you just I don't know how you can take your eyes off the screen. It's just so good.
Yeah, that's probably my. Ugh, I don't know. It's hard to pick a favorite Tarantino movie, but that's definitely up there. Yeah,
Um,
it is just so
Nick
over the
Esteban?
top and
I
Kill Bill?
I really liked Kill Bill all up until they started doing some like weird samurai kung fu stuff, and I never really cared for the wacky stuff that Tarantino does, but I cared for like everything else.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Esteban?
Yeah, I mean, I really like it. I like the series. I still listen to the soundtrack. I still kind of like that music for sure. So Uma Thurman, who I don't think I ever really cared for up until then. I thought she did great. Yeah, I don't know. It had Lucy Liu, right, in it?
Yep.
yes,
Um,
Yep.
Vivica A. Fox.
yep.
yeah, I was unlike anything else that I had seen up to that point in my life. I think even Tarantino
Same.
films included.
Yeah, same.
So,
Mhm.
I think that's why it stood out and was so, I don't know, appealing.
Another personal favorite of mine, Bad Santa. Came
Never
out in
seen it.
2003. That movie is so ridiculous. It's really Billy Bob Thornton is hilarious in that movie.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great movie.
Yeah.
That was the last movie John Ritter did, right? Last movie he did. I
Was he in
believe.
that one? I don't remember him being in that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
I just remember him being in Sling Blade. But I can see why he would go with another Billy
Sling
Bob
Blade
Thornton.
is so good, man.
You talking?
That's a
Wait,
great movie.
John Ritter wasn't in Sling Blade. You're talking about?
No, he was.
Oh, he was. Oh,
Mhm,
weird.
mhm.
Yeah, John Ritter is the
Yep.
gay friend.
Oh, okay.
He's like, I'm a homosexual. I like men. And then he's like, you're like, haha, funny, not haha, queer. He's like, you shouldn't say that. You shouldn't say that.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a
yeah,
great scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
both of them are excellent. Yeah,
Yeah.
if I watch Bad Santa again, I haven't seen it in a little while, but I remember I've watched it a few times, and I just can't remember. I can't picture John Ritter in that movie.
Yeah, he's has something to do with Bernie Mac's character.
Okay.
I don't know if he's his boss or it's vice versa. I don't know, but yeah, he's in it.
Esteban, you ever watch Bad Santa?
I have. I don't think you could make it today. I don't think. it
Probably
would
not.
go to
No,
theaters
no.
today.
He treats that kid. The
It's like-
fuck do you want, kid?
That whole monologue he has, like, I beat the shit out of a little kid today. Yes.
I think so. You gotta appreciate it for that reason, I suppose, is that it would no longer get made.
Right.
Right. Another favorite of mine, School of Rock. School of Rock came out in 2003 with Jack Black.
Yeah.
hmm
That's a good one. I remember thinking it was kind of
I-
like a kids
yeah.
movie, but it's still really good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I would argue that's probably one of Jack Black's most respectable films that he's been in.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely.
One of the top, yeah.
Nah, man, Mars Attacks is his best work.
Nah, man, Never Ending Story 3. There was like a Vanity Fair like online on YouTube of like actors, discussing their careers, and they did one on Jack Black, and I was really hoping he was going to mention Never Ending Story 3, and he didn't. He skipped over that one. So
He's in Starship
Yeah.
Troopers.
Is he really?
yeah.
Yeah, he is
Yep.
for like a second.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
All right, another personal favorite of mine, my last one, big one. And I could include this movie in another section, but I'm just going to do personal favorites. The Room. You're tearing me apart,
Oh,
Lisa.
Christ.
Oh,
Room.
man.
The
Oh my
fucking
God.
Room.
Anything for my princess. Man. For a long time, and I think still now, is like my personal goal in life to show that movie to as many people as possible.
It's a good goal. I mean, I'm right there with you. The only thing is that you also have to watch it another time.
Oh yeah, I've seen it probably, I don't know, 15, 20 times probably.
Yeah,
Just-
it's
Well, I remember actually watching it at your place, Brad.
Yeah.
You had already seen it
Uh-huh.
at that point. Yeah, so it makes sense.
I love my girl. Oh, hi, Mark.
What is-
I did not hit her.
I
did not.
Oh, hi,
It's
Mark.
it's like an alien like observed film in like our species and came down to Earth and tried to make a movie.
Right.
This is what would happen if we actually did meet extraterrestrial life.
Yeah.
They'd make the room. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I like that he there was a real alley outside where they were filming, and he wanted to film inside the studio fake alley when they just had a real one right outside that he wanted to film in. It just, oh God, everything about that movie. So many. I remember the first time I watched it, and just a person at work told me to watch The Room because he heard that I thought this. I can't remember what movie it was. I thought it was really funny because it was so bad, and he was like, "You should." Oh, it was Troll 2. We were talking about Troll 2.
yeah.
And he's like, "You think Troll 2 is bad?" Which it is. You should watch The Room. And I was like, "I've never seen it. What are you talking about?" He's like, "You never seen The Room?" So then he told me to watch it, and I was completely taken away. It was so bad. Every conceivable thing that could be wrong with it is, and it's so fucking funny. I can't. The mom has cancer, but nothing ever comes of that.
Mhm.
Denny or whatever that little kid's name is way too old to be hanging out with those people like that, jumping in their bed, just rolling
Right.
around with them. There's something weird going on there. He's in trouble with drug dealers, and she freaks out on him on
Right.
a rooftop. What are you doing? What are you doing? Just like shaking him on the. Yeah, God. That's it. Nothing ever
Oh,
comes
man.
of
But
that.
don't forget
Yeah.
the sex scenes. There's
Right,
like what, 4
yeah.
or 5 of them with
Oh,
like
yeah.
the same 2 songs playing over and over again.
Mhm.
Just
God, where he's like humping her
Ugh.
stomach. Yeah.
oh yeah.
God. Esteban, you ever watch The Room?
No, it doesn't sound like I missed anything.
It's a hamburger
No,
movie
you
night.
missed.
It's a
It
hamburger.
is a
movie night.
hamburger
thing.
movie.
The problem is it's not on
we
anywhere.
don't. We should explain hamburger movie night. We have to all 4 have not seen it.
Right. I think I would make
Right,
an
that's
exception
true.
for The Room.
That's true.
I would make an exception for The Room simply because you haven't seen it, and I think it's
No, that is
bad
true,
and-
'cause
and
it-
worth seeing it.
Because I did pick that Scorsese film, and we all pretty much have seen that already. I don't know that maybe
I hadn't seen it.
you hadn't seen it. Yeah.
I do think that there are some that'll be where, because like I would do the same thing with Miami Connection. Like if I knew that you guys hadn't seen that,
Oh
if
my
like one
God, yeah.
person, you have to watch that movie. You just have to.
All right.
The Room is best worst movie of 2003. Maybe the best worst movie ever. It was funny because it was held by Battlefield Earth in 2000, and within a few years had lost the throne to The Room. Tommy Wiseau, well done. And my honorable mention for personal favorites for 2003 is Old Boy.
Mhm.
And
Fantastic.
yeah, that's my personal favorite, or my honorable mention. And now we're gonna go to worst movies for 2003, and the first one I've got is from Justin DeKelly, which is the movie with the 2 American Idol finalists from the first season, making a movie about like a summer vacation, spring break, falling in love. Really shitty, really poorly done, completely panned by every critic, bombed at the box office. You should definitely go see it. From Justin to Kelly.
Never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's really bad.
I vaguely remember hearing about it, but
I got another one.
Never saw it.
Malibu's Most Wanted. That is.
I remember this one. Yeah. Jamie Kennedy.
Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah.
Worst movies of 2003. Dumb and Dumber, or When Harry Met Lloyd.
Man.
Awful. I watched that movie. I was so pissed because they just completely shit on Dumb and Dumber, which is like one of my favorite movies of all time. And it was just so bad. I hated it, every second of it. I remember hearing a preview about it and being really excited because all you heard was just Lloyd's laugh and like a sequel to Dumb and Dumber, Dumb and Dumber. And I was like, oh shit, this would be great. Nope. The opposite. Terrible.
Yeah. Yep.
Next movie, I have Daredevil, the Ben Affleck Daredevil. That is again panned. It's one of the lowest points of Ben Affleck's career, which he would actually get a bit lower in a few years, but Daredevil is a really, really bad movie. One of the worst superhero movies ever made. And the last one for worst movies of 2003, I have Kangaroo Jack.
Oh God, no!
Why even mention that?
Kangaroo Jack. That's the movie where they hit the kangaroo, right? And they like dress him up in their clothes, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then they like take pictures with it, but their jacket that they dressed it up with has like money or something. And he like takes off with it. Now they gotta chase the fucking kangaroo all over. Like that's the premise of the movie.
That sounds
it's
fun.
Fucking ridiculous.
Kangaroo Jack. It's like Jerry O'Connell and that guy who works at that fast food place that Harold and Kumar go to, where he's like, I'm gonna burn this motherfucker down. No, he doesn't. That's not White Castle because or is it White Castle and they're sold out? I don't know. But he goes to a restaurant, or they go to the drive-thru. And they're talking to that guy. He's in the drive-thru window.
Oh,
and
that's
he's like,
right.
Just thinking about those White Castle burgers makes me want to burn this motherfucker down.
Yeah.
It's going crazy. So yeah, that guy and Jerry O'Connell, Kangaroo Jack.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now we got top albums in terms of gross of 2003. I have 6. I just did 6.
I have one. Can I add one honorable mention movie?
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Underworld, the original Underworld.
Oh God, yeah, that's a really. Oh, I hated that movie.
Yeah.
That was
Wesley Snipes, right? Is Blade? Or not Blade? Sorry, Underworld.
It's another vampire.
Wait, what?
Like, which movie are we talking about here? Are we talking about Underworld or are we talking about Blade?
Underworld.
Okay.
Wasn't
Maybe I got those movies confused.
Kate Beckinsale?
Oh my God. Maybe
it's
you did.
it's this werewolf and vampire love story. It's like pre-Twilight.
Correct. Yeah, Blade is Blade, clearly. And then Underworld is, Kate Beckinsale, vampires versus werewolves. But it was a trilogy, I believe.
Yeah, I think there might even be 4. I remember
there are a few of them, yes.
I remember being like, we're going to watch Underworld. I'm so excited. I was not excited to see it. And I didn't want to see it. And I watched it anyway. And I regretted watching it. I pretty much, got what I expected out of that movie.
I don't know. I mean, I think Twilight made me appreciate it more. Like later on, I was like,
well, yeah. If I compared to Twilight, then I would take
Underworld.
Over.
This is how it should be.
Right. I'll take that over Twilight. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
It's not Twilight, but it's not the worst adaptation of werewolves and vampires I've seen. And top albums, I have top 6 albums in terms of gross 2003. 6, we got Beyonce, Dangerously in Love. 5, we got Outkast, The Speaker Box, The Love Below.
That's good stuff.
Number 4, we've got the Bad Boys 2 soundtrack. Number 3, we've got Norah Jones, Come Away With Me. Which that album made it big because it was like sold at Starbucks, so people could buy that album at Starbucks. So she was like one of the first artists, if not the first, to be featured in Starbucks. So I think
you could listen to it at Starbucks and then buy it and listen to it at home and
drink coffee
to it.
Yeah,
drink coffee to it. Yeah,
Number 2 was Linkin Park, Meteora. That was the second highest grossing. And
Yeah,
number
that's-
1,
I meant mediocre.
yeah, that's being
That was
generous.
her second album, right?
Correct.
Yeah, sophomore.
Okay.
yeah.
Top album of the year in terms of gross, in terms of how much it made. 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying.
Mm.
My top picks for 2003: Radiohead, Hail to the Thief.
Excellent album.
They got The Strokes, Room on Fire.
Hmm.
I got Muse, Absolution. We got Jay-Z's,
Yeah, that's a great album.
Jay-Z's
Mhm.
Black Album. I've got Brand New, Deja Entendu. I've got
Oh, yeah.
Blink-182 album. And my honorable mention is Elephant by White Stripes, which has Seven
Oh,
Nation
yeah.
Army.
Yeah.
Right.
Those are my picks for 2003. Yeah, you guys have any albums from 2003 I didn't mention that you want to throw in there, or can think off the top of your head or whatnot? If not,
I did no research, so no.
okay.
Yeah, nothing
Brand
I could
New,
think of.
Deja and Tandu is maybe the best album ever made. Maybe. It's in the discussion.
but that's a
Wow.
It's definitely in my top 10. My personal top 10.
I don't think
of
I've
all
ever
time.
listened to it.
Every song is fantastic.
Yeah.
And if you're going to listen to it, set aside like a month because you're going to need it. 'Cause you're just going to listen to it.
Good lord, you're really hyping this up.
Well, that's the single from that one that everyone knows is what's that song called?
Quiet Things That No
Quiet
One
Things
Ever
That No One
Knows.
Ever Knows. Yeah.
No, you
Yeah.
shouldn't have told him because he probably wouldn't have been able to tell because they could have all been singles. They were that good.
Yeah.
No, that's true. But I would also argue that Brand New continues to get better after that album. I mean, that even the album actually before Deja Entendu, What Your Favorite Weapon, it was very angsty, starting out. I enjoy it, but man, they just get better and better. Like the Devil and God Raging Inside Me, that was an incredible album. I think that they really matured to their highest potential.
Yeah, that Devil and God Raging Inside Me. Don't listen to that if you're even remotely happy. 'Cause
Right.
it's depressing album. It really is.
Right.
And I don't mean like depressing because it's bad. It's just like the music and the lyrics and everything about it is just a
Right.
depressing album.
For sure.
So, but yeah, we can talk. I'll mention that album in a few years.
When we come around to it.
When we
yeah.
come around to it. Okay, and now my worst albums of 2003. I'm gonna go with Evanescence, Fallen, the Evanescence album with Bring Me to Life song.
Mhm.
This I hate that band. It's so bad. It's more corporate
Yeah,
bland.
there's that, and then
rock.
there's
Then we got
I'm
Clay
Broken.
Aiken.
That
Oh, sorry.
I'm
the
talking. Yeah, the Evanescence album. It has that
Yeah.
I'm Broken song. and then
Immortal?
it's got
My
yeah,
Immortal?
and My Immortal. Yeah, all
Yeah.
bangers.
yeah,
Fantastic.
depressing stuff. Yeah. Just wake me up. I can't hold back. Wake me up. Just bad. Clay Aiken, Measure of a Man.
Oh yeah.
Clay Aiken had a song called Invisible, which I'll talk about in a minute. But if you don't know that song, I advise you to look up the lyrics because it is a fucking creepy ass song. And he's talking about, there's one line where he's like, if I was invisible, I would be the smartest man. I don't know what being invisible has to do with intelligence. It's basically being a fly on someone's wall, being able to watch them in their room if he was invisible. And people, it's just like this upbeat song, but it's really fucked up. But yeah, Clay Aiken, Measure of Man. And my worst album of 2003, Metallica, Saint Anger.
Oh yeah.
Saint fucking Anger. All right, Brad. Saint Anger. Thoughts?
I bought that on release day. Like I was very hyped up for that album.
So did Timmy.
Oh man, I mean, it's got some good riffs on it, I guess. And you know what? I kind of actually like the sound of it. I like that garbage can snare drum.
You like it? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's
You're the second person that I've ever met, actually. So there's one person I
hold on.
met that said
Let
it
Brad
grew
continue.
on him.
oh, I don't really have much else to say. Just the
Oh, never mind.
I like the riffs and I like the sound of it, but besides that, like the lyrics are weird and kind of childish and
I need my ego to be healthy.
frantic tick 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 tack. My lifestyle determines my death style. Like, well, okay, cool, dude. What does that
Jeez.
even mean? And then at the end of that one song, he's like, well, at the end of that one song, he's like crying or something.
Oh, what's it called? I wanted to say
Dun, dun,
Unchained
dun,
Melody,
dun.
but it's not that. Oh God,
Unnamed feeling.
Unnamed Feeling. That's right.
Yeah, it's like dun 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 dun
Dun,
dun
dun,
dun
dun,
dun dun dun. Yeah, he just wants to kill it
He's
all
like,
away or
I hate,
whatever. Yeah. I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know. I think he went into rehab right after that album. Something like
Maybe
that.
it wasn't both. Probably both. He
Yeah,
was
maybe
in
it was
rehab. He
during
left.
rehab.
I need to stay in for a bit long.
He made it in rehab. Yeah.
Yeah, just man.
It's an angle around my neck. Ha. Yeah. Good stuff. Nick, any thoughts on Saint Anger?
Well, I mean, other than like I was saying, Brad's the second person I met who's actually said that they don't mind the sound at least.
Mhm.
Because I met someone before that said, it grew on them.
Yeah.
Right.
And I honestly I couldn't believe it. I just like, what? It grew on you?
Like a
Okay,
fungus.
yeah. Right,
Yeah, it is like a
Uh,
fungus. It's just like a really nasty, unpleasant sound, but I like it.
yeah.
Esteban, do you have any memories with Saint Anger?
When I wasn't listening to Get Rich or Die Trying, I wasn't listening to Metallica. No, I did have some other albums that looks like they came out in 2003 that I definitely remember listening to. Death Cab for a Cutie, Transatlanticism came out that year.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one. Michigan, Sufjan Stevens.
Oh.
Remember that one? Greetings from Michigan.
Yes.
Oh.
I liked Illinois better, but Michigan's really good too.
And then the other one, what did I have here? I thought
Is that the guy who's going to go to like every state, make an album after every state?
Yes.
Or, okay.
But I think he only did Michigan and Illinois, and I think that
you're
was
correct. I think you're right. The Postal Service had an album too. Give Up is
it.
what it's called.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
really good.
So those are three, and those are all very interesting, like different sounds than 50 Cent. I know, but it was an interesting 2003. It was a weird year. It was.
Oh man. Yeah, Saint Anger. I remember hearing it for the first time and just being like, this is Metallica? And like, where's the solos? Where's it doesn't sound like Metallica. This sounds like someone's beating on a trash can.
Mhm.
And I tried to get into it. I listened to Saint Anger probably more than any of the other tracks. But I mean, I was done with it after like a day or two. And ever since then, I've just used it as the butt of many jokes. Saint Anger. Worst album of 2003. Now we're going to go to the top songs of 2003 in terms of Billboard. And some I just threw in there. Number one song, though, of the year of 2003, In the Club by 50 Cent.
Mhm.
In the Club. I remember when that song came out.
Mhm.
I was like, oh, there's another banger. It's your
Amazing
birthday.
song, man.
It's your birthday. Yep. And I knew it. Well, I knew that that's a song that was going to be played over and over and over again. Every dance,
2003,
every
man.
time I got in anybody's car, boom, I'm hearing In the
Yeah,
Club.
I never left the club. Like I'm still in it.
Here's a
That's like that's a circle of hell, isn't it? In a club, and it's just that song over and over again for eternity.
I think well, the next song is another one that again is a classic, but Jesus, I heard it too much. Ignition by R. Kelly. You know,
Oh
yes.
yeah.
new remix
yeah.
to Ignition, hot and fresh off the kitchen. Yeah, all that song. Yeah, that song. I knew I was gonna hear it. I remember at one point I heard it so much I started making up my own lyrics to it, just using the melody. Get Busy by Sean Paul, which was the Jamaican sounding fellow who was on SNL the day that Adrian Brody decided to ruin his SNL chances by making a Jamaican Rastafarian whatever accent and introducing
boy.
Sean Paul. was like, hey man, it's Sean Paul, man, all this stuff. And no one approved this. No one said you should do this, Adrian Brody, but he just did it. But Get Busy. It's just like it's like this weird Jamaican, I don't know. I've never been able to, I'd have to look at the lyrics to actually understand what the fuck he's saying. But again, that was another one that was all over the place on the radio and in people's cars every time I got in.
Was that a Billboard top song, or is that
Oh,
your
yeah.
personal top
yeah.
song?
No, that's a Billboard song.
Okay.
If you're listening, if you like pull up Sean Paul Get Busy on YouTube, you'd recognize that song immediately. Another one is Crazy in Love by Beyonce featuring Jay-Z. Unwell, Matchbox 20.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
Another one, Right There by Chingy. I like it when you do it right there, right there. That's that song. Yeah, that one I remember that. 2003. God, this song was everywhere, and I could not stand it. Every country girl and raging alcoholic, they get together with a guitar. They come up with "Picture" by Kid Rock featuring Sheryl Crow.
Oh,
that
fuck
song-
off.
Yeah,
Fuck
that
off.
song came out.
I know I've heard it, but I think it's blocked from my memory because I can't recall any of it.
Living my life in a slow hell. She was like, I was headed to church. It's like, I was out to take you away. Yeah. And it's like, and keep going. He's like, you're not gonna make me sing the whole damn thing. He's I took your picture today. I swear I changed my ways. It's
Nope,
really bad.
I'm not getting anything.
Yeah, you're getting something. You gotta be getting something.
my
But it's-
God.
well, I
Brad,
can't help you. I
he's
can't help you.
lucky.
I
Why
don't
you're
think I
hurt.
ever realized that was Kid Rock.
Yep, Kid Rock.
Yeah.
Featuring Sheryl Crow.
Yeah.
I've heard that song many, many times. Never realized it was Kid Rock.
I was once in Alabama and we were all just kind of playing guitar, and one of the guys started playing Picture. And he said, I'll be Kid Rock. And I said, okay, I'll be Sheryl Crow. And so I was Sheryl Crow singing the song, but I was headed to church, and then he started singing my lines. And I was like, hold on, motherfucker. You're Kid Rock. I'm Sheryl Crow.
Right. Yeah.
Don't mess with my stuff. You sing your little bit, I'll sing my bit. He's a cool guy. I like him. Another one. This one's a classic. This is a classic. Get Low by Lil Jon and the East Side Boys featuring the Ying Yang Twins.
Oh yeah.
Get low to the window,
Wow.
to the wall.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
That was in I remember that song in a video game, one of those racing video games. Need for Speed. maybe?
Need for Speed Underground.
Really? I didn't know that.
Need for Speed
Yeah,
Underground.
it was. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
I actually
no idea.
owned that game, and I remember, Chris, you stole it from me, and I never saw it again.
That's bullshit. That is a bullshit lie.
Need for Speed Underground.
I would. Why would I steal Need for Speed Underground? This is erroneous lies. Bullshit. I would never ever.
It happened.
You should have raced him for it.
Right?
go.
Yeah, for sure.
And now
Listen to Little John.
Shake Your Tail Feather by Nelly, P. Diddy, and Murphy Lee was another one. And that is a song from Bad Boys 2. This song is so fucking stupid. I remember I had to hear it on the radio all the time when I was working at Subway. And it was like whatever radio station that would come in was the only one, and it would play that song repeatedly. And it's got like this, I don't know. Look it up on YouTube. It's it's not good. But yeah. Beautiful by Christina Aguilera. Came out in 2003.
I remember that song.
Cry Me a River by Justin Timberlake.
These are all
yeah.
huge songs, man. Like the
Yeah.
the number of listens that these songs all have collectively is just
Yeah. Here's
astounding.
another one. Your Body is a Wonderland by John Mayer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Here's another one. Not really. Headstrong by Trapped.
Mm.
Back off,
Hey,
take you
yeah.
off.
Yeah.
I listen. To that.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed.
To that sweet riff.
I thought that was sweet.
Oh God. And then we have The Remedy, I Won't Worry by Jason Mraz, which is a really stupid song. God. Something about not worrying his life away. Just really soft rock listening. You could listen to it at a senior citizen's home and a 10-year-old's birthday, and same sort of deal. And now maybe their best song, I don't know, if you had to choose, She Hates Me by Puddle of Mud.
Dude, fuck that band.
It
I
aged
agree.
well.
I agree.
Aged well because I listened to it recently and I was like, dude, I get it now. I understand.
Yeah, I just remember
Ooh.
playing the guitar thing. This is kind of similar to the riff of Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Yeah, it's very
Pixies or-
similar.
Yeah. So another one, Clocks by Coldplay. I remember that.
yeah.
That was
That is a cool song.
Yeah, we got a what was it, a Gateway computer, and it was one of those. It was the first song I downloaded off. The
I remember.
Gateway.
I remember
Yeah.
going to Florida, Orlando, actually, for spring break.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know if it was that year. I think
think it was.
possibly.
I think it was
Yeah,
2003.
and you had that on the CD, I think, and we played it on the rental van that we had, the rental van that we
Oh,
got.
okay. Yeah.
So like that song always reminded me of Florida, like in that time.
Oh,
And it
interesting.
was like It was like raining. And
We also heard on the radio "Who Will
It's
Stop the
definitely a
Rain"
good
by
rainy
CCR.
song. Oh yeah.
oh
And-
yeah.
Don't Know Why by Nora Jones. I like that song, Sumi. It's very easy listening, but I just imagine listening to it on
I don't
like
think I ever heard it.
at a coffee shop, like Starbucks, sort of, but like a local coffee shop
Yeah.
over watching like the sunset
Sure.
somewhere in Italy. Like it's
Mhm.
got that feel to it, that just like relaxing, classy feel.
Mhm.
But my honorable mention, Ball and Biscuit by the White Stripes,
Mhm.
for songs that I like. And now I've got
Yeah,
worst
ding-a-ding.
songs. Invisible by Clay Aiken. I've got Saint Anger by Metallica.
I don't know that. Oh my god, I have to hear that. Whatever that Clay Aiken song is.
Feel free.
That sounds
yeah.
awful.
Saint Anger by Metallica.
Mhm.
I've got Beer for My Horses by Toby Keith.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember that
Yeah.
one.
Whiskey for my
For my-
man.
Beer for My
Beer
Horses.
for my horses. God damn it.
And my worst song of the year. And I'm so glad you're all here to join me for this one. My worst song of the year. Have You Forgotten by Daryl Worley. Have you forgotten?
Oh no.
Yes, have you forgotten?
Oh.
Have you forgotten about this
Have you
song?
Forgotten.
When them
About
towers
the
fell.
about the Pentagon.
I vaguely remember it.
When
I guess I have
those-
forgotten.
And you
I'm
told
sorry,
me
I've
not to
forgotten.
worry about Bin Laden. Have
Yeah,
you
yeah.
forgotten how it felt
so
that day?
stupid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had people
Jesus,
inside
it was-
going through a living hell.
It was only two. It was only 2 years later. Of course,
Right.
we have not forgotten.
God, that
Have you
song is
forgotten 2 years
awful.
later? No.
There's also
don't know.
another Toby Keith one where it's like American Soldier, but I think that might be 2004.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm an American soldier.
Yeah.
Have you forgotten Dixie Chicks? That's right. Yeah. So worst song of the year. Do you have you heard any of these songs, Esteban? Your Beer for My Horses, or have you forgotten about Have You Forgotten?
I've heard all of these songs, man. I mean, I think I saw Toby Keith live play. He played it. It was at the Indiana State Fair that year, I believe. in
Oh,
2000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
They had TV shows that debuted in the year 2003: America's Next Top Model, NCIS, The Bachelorette, Chappelle's Show,
Oh, there you go.
Reno
Oh, there you
911,
go.
Yeah,
Nice,
yeah.
nice.
The OC, Newlyweds, Nick and Jessica. That's the show where Jessica Simpson asks her husband why they call it chicken of the sea when it's fish, and she's eating tuna.
yeah.
She has these issues. She has this issue. She's done it before, where she heard buffalo wings, and she says she doesn't eat buffalo. Like, to name a food
Right.
after another
Buffaloes
animal,
don't have wings.
right? She doesn't.
Yeah.
It's like Carl Pilkington with a metaphor, Jessica Simpson,
Right.
and with anything with that. 2.5 Men.
What happened to her, man? That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Jessica Simpson.
I don't really know. I think she stopped
Yeah, I
singing.
don't know either.
She got pregnant a few times. just kind of living life, I suppose.
Yeah, it's just collecting residuals, probably. Just
Oh yeah.
who knows?
Let's see.
That's probably the dream, make your money and then don't do anything and disappear for the rest of your life.
Did I?
Yeah,
I'm
that
not
would
sure.
be fantastic.
I can't. This has to be new. Real Time with Bill Maher. Came out in 2003. Queer Eye for the Straight Guy came out in 2003, and my favorite show of 2003, Arrested Development. Now, Arrested Development, I would put the first two seasons, on par with any show that has ever been, any sitcom, any comedic sitcom, whether it's animated or live action. It's as good as any of those. I would put seasons 1 and 2 with seasons 5 and 6 of The Simpsons. Like it's every joke is brilliant. Everything adds upon what came before it. There's just layers and layers and layers. I love that show in a way that I don't love a lot of shows. It's one of my absolute favorites. Having said that, when it got to Netflix, it became complete shit. So the first 3 seasons, really the first 2.5 seasons are good. The third season on the latter end kind of sucks because they know it's ending, so they have to rush things. But I mean, in terms of pound for pound, there's just no show better. There's at least as good.
I would say I would agree with you too. I think it was really good. I enjoyed it. It's the closest thing. I don't know how, it's weird to say this. It's the closest thing to the kind of humor of the original Dumb and Dumber that I think I've ever seen. Like the next closest iteration of that kind of comedy. Does that make sense? Like where everything is like multi-layered funny.
Yeah, I mean, in that regard,
yes.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, multi-layered jokes where even I having seen it for a few years, come back and watch it and discover something new.
But there are people that will watch it that don't get it, that think it's stupid, and you're like,
yes,
you don't get any of. You're missing all of the layers. All of them.
Right.
I mean, it was unfortunate that it was on Fox. I think that was its downfall. It was too smart for Fox. Really, it flew over my head back then. Like I never watched it.
I didn't even know it was really on.
Yeah.
The only thing I remember about it is that it came out of some legal battle because of the name of the show was also the name of an R&B rap group, and they had to settle that. I believe it premiered like after the Super Bowl in 2003. It's if I had to pick a highlight from the first season, my favorite episode is Whistler's Mother, and it's the scene with David Cross, Tobias Funke, and Job, and they're going into business together, and they're getting like, go buy us some coffee, go buy us Industries, as in go buy us some coffee. And they're talking to Michael about it, and he's like, us here at Go Buy Us Industries, would like to have some of this money for, so we can start a business. And Michael's like, well, turns out that, so-and-so happened, and you may not have the money. And then Tobias is like, this is the first us at Go Buy Us Industries have ever heard of this. And then Michael's like, yeah, we're going to see. He's like, well, and then Tobias, he says, I'm afraid this offer comes off the table at midnight tonight. Michael says, it's got to be the worst bluff I've ever seen. He walks away. I cried. I laughed so hard.
I remember there was a scene in like a conference room or something, and they said something like the room might be bugged. And then for a split second, you see the boom mic like in the frame, and then it pulls out. Like a little breaking the fourth wall there.
Mm-hmm. You just made a fool of yourself in front
of T-Bone.
T-Bone, yeah.
You got a stew going.
Right? Oh God. Everything is just so good.
Yeah.
Amazing show. Just don't watch any of the ones that showed up on Netflix.
Yeah,
top TV shows of 2003 in terms of viewership. Number 1 was The Wire. You had NCIS, The Shield, 24, NYPD Blue, Oz, Battlestar Galactica, American Idol. Battlestar Galactica, you have anything to say on that, Esteban? Because I've never seen that show.
Oh my God. Yeah. Maybe the best sci-fi television show ever, like the channel sci-fi, not the genre.
Oh, gotcha.
All right.
But as far as it's very, very good. If you like space opera, like if you're a big like original OG Star Wars person, you would really like it. If you really like The Expanse on Amazon today, you would really like it. It's just I don't know, it's very cool. You guys would all like it actually, now that I know how you feel about extraterrestrial life. It's very, I think, I mean, while it's science fiction, it's very realist science fiction. So you should watch it for sure.
Mhm.
Good acting. Might be a little dated CGI today, but
That's all right.
still very, very good.
You know-
Very good story about, well, I don't want to ruin it for you, but there's AI, there's aliens, there's time travel. There's a little bit of everything in it.
Nice. I actually wanted to bring up Oz. Actually, the last episode, I think it was,
Okay.
because I think you brought it up before.
Yeah.
But then bring it up again. That's a great show. I've seen all of that. It gets a little strange there at the last season, which I think was around this time. I think.
I believe this was, in fact, the last season.
Yeah. But I say the first season obviously was the best, but highly, highly recommend it. Very good show.
Right on.
I
Yeah, my honorable mention is Arrested Development, but I think it goes without saying. My
Sure,
worst TV shows of 2003. I've got Joe Millionaire. I remember this show. It is a construction worker who's made to have people believe that he's a millionaire bachelor looking for love, and all the women have to join, and try and get his affection and get him to pick. And when he picks them, they have a choice between, I believe it was the money, or there's like a certain amount of money, or Joe Millionaire. And they find out he's not actually a millionaire. And it was like a big hit when it came out. But since then, I think they only had one season, I think at that point. But it became that point. I was like, okay, this is just, it just started getting crazier and crazier, which is where I'll end my worst TV shows, which, shows you where that was going. The Simple Life debuted in 2003.
Oh,
Yeah.
I watched
Paris-
a few episodes of that back then.
Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie, I think.
Yes.
Lionel Richie's daughter. Anyway, yeah. Just people with no idea of, the real world, I guess you'd say. I wonder how much of it's for camera and how much of it is actually them, but not sure why anybody would want to watch it other than just pure curiosity. Why anybody would continue to watch it, that's on them. Wasn't show for me. I don't think I was the demographic, but I just remember shaking my head sort of deal at The Simple Life. And the last one I'll mention is the show was called Are You Hot? And I believe it was on it was like a Bravo channel, something like that, like some cable network that had a bunch of people that would come out on like the stage one at a time. And this panel of judges would take a laser pointer and point at their flaws and rate them on how attractive they were. And
Oh my God.
it was completely fucked up. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Well, but the only reason they were there was because they thought they were hot.
Right.
They weren't just grabbing.
Oh, I see.
people.
Oh, okay.
Even though,
It'd been too bad.
some people may not have been as hot as they thought they were. And that just became this. Yeah, there's like it was like an Ugly Duckling type reality TV show at one point where, women would go to plastic surgery and go through all these lengths, and then everyone would celebrate, you've got the worst this, you've got this, you need to change this.
That show was probably the worst out of all of them.
Well, that actually reminds me, we're getting here to video games now, but it reminds me of an idea I had for because I saw this one time, it was like the worst reality TV shows ever. And one of the worst reality TV shows was this one where this girl had to pick between like a bunch of these, guys. And I believe, what was it? I think some of them were gay and some of them weren't gay. And she had to find a mate, a person. And if the one that she picked actually was gay, then the gay guy got the money. And if she picked someone who was straight, then they both got the money. And so the gay people are pretending to be straight to try and get the girl's affections, and she's trying to, you're not really straight, and whatever. I had the idea, it'd be kind of funny
Christ.
to have have a guy, pretending to be being gay, or not gay. And so but he's actually not gay.
You've told me this before.
So he's straight, and he's a heterosexual man, but he's in this competition where he has to pretend to be gay. So he's like giving blowjobs to men, getting fucked in the ass. And he's like, "These guys don't even realize I'm not even gay." Jokes on them. Jokes on them. Yes, I would like a rim job. How about that?
He does win the money though.
Yeah,
he
and he's
does
just
win
like-
the money.
Just covered in just like semen. He's just dripping, and he's got his
God damn
check.
it! It's so ridiculous.
That
yeah.
and then what he reveals at the end that he's not gay.
Yeah,
and everyone's
exactly.
just like,
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Yeah, guess who's not gay? This guy.
Joke's on you, haha.
You sucked 15 of our dicks. Yeah. You thought I did. Well, I did, but
Yeah.
I'm not like that.
Yeah.
So I think that would be good.
Well, all right. I guess you win.
Yeah, I think I might make like a skit about that or something one day.
I mean, to be fair, it's already pretty fucked up. Like the premise as is. It's pretty
Yes.
fucked up.
Right.
Video games released in 2003. Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic, July 15th. That game was BioWare.
Yeah,
Mass
that's a
Effect.
fantastic game.
Mass Effect.
It's a fantastic game.
There's
Still
a
to
lot
this
of-
day.
Mhm.
I highly,
think they're
highly
remaking
recommend
it.
playing that game if you haven't.
Mhm.
They're remastering it?
I think so. I could be wrong.
Really?
On November 18th, for the Xbox and the GameCube, The Prince of Persia: Sands of Time came out on November 10th.
Oh yeah.
For the PlayStation 2, that came out.
Yeah, that was pretty cool because I think that was a game where you could like stop time,
Yes. Yep.
something like that, and like
Yep.
rewind it. And like if you fucked up, you could just rewind it. Or
And
do
there's like
try
a
it
lot
again,
of like
yeah.
That's a cool
scaling.
concept.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
cool. There's a lot of cool game mechanics to that game. The movie sucks though. I think it's got like Jake Gyllenhaal.
Right.
On
Yeah.
March 27th for the Xbox, the PlayStation 2, Soul Calibur 2 came out. Did you guys
Oh,
ever play
yeah.
Soul Calibur?
Yes.
I do.
No.
You did, Esteban?
Yeah, I would go to people's houses and play for sure.
Did you have a character that you liked?
Nightmare, right? He was in it.
I
Yeah,
only played it a
he's
few
like the-
times. Okay.
He's
yeah.
a scary looking guy with a big sword, right?
I mean, my description would be the biggest white guy with a sword, which is, who
Oh,
I
he was a white guy? Huh.
Yes. Yeah. Undead, I think. Evil. But
I picture him with a helmet on so you couldn't tell.
the closest thing to Conan the Barbarian in the video game.
Is that the one with Yoda in it and like Darth Vader?
They got patched in later. Yeah.
Okay.
That was
Yeah.
like the first like DLC type thing. That went
Okay,
on.
yeah. Nightmare is a white blonde guy, but
Well, there
looks
you
like
go.
he has a helmet on sometimes.
It kind of looks like me a little bit.
Yes. There's a splitting image.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the other reason that he was really good is because he was easy to learn to use.
Right.
I mean, when you have a giant sword, you can button mash and do pretty good.
That's all I
Uh,
ever did in any fighting game, really, is button mash.
On November 17th for the GameCube, Mario Kart Double Dash came out. I remember playing that one. That was fun. For the PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Xbox, Madden 2004, August 12th, one of the best-selling games of the year. I believe that was one with Michael Vick on the cover. I played that one a lot. That one was that was the same game where, if I'm not mistaken, Ricky Williams picked me off 3 times for a touchdown, and he's a running back, so the game glitched. He's not in the defense at all, and that made me rage quit. And the other time was Michael Vick just went into God mode, and I played the Falcons in the Super Bowl, and they just kicked the shit out of me. I couldn't stop them. So yeah, but it was a fun game, really fun game.
That was probably the first Madden that had like a quarterback with 95 plus speed.
Right, I think
So,
he did.
like,
Yeah,
People didn't know what to do. Like because the guys would just drop back for a pass with no intention of throwing it, and then just run around the side with Michael Vick
Mhm.
and do pretty well.
that was
I
the
mean-
winning touchdown. He just went for a pass. Nobody was open. He just ran it in. I couldn't stop him. Bastard. November 11th for the PlayStation, GameCube, and Xbox, Medal of Honor: Rising Sun. I never played that Medal of Honor game, I don't believe.
No,
and
me neither.
for the Game Boy Advance on February 14th, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. I played that for a little bit. Didn't like it as much as the original Final Fantasy Tactics, but that's a really high bar. So now for the worst video game of 2003. And I just have one. It's just one game. because nothing else compares.
Okay.
And for the PC, Big Rigs
Uh-huh.
Over the Road Racing came out on November 20th.
What the fuck?
Now, hold
I've
on.
seen people
I
play
gotta
that
look this
game.
up. Hold on.
Big Rigs Over the Road Racing received overwhelming dislike, according to the website Metacritic. Based on 5 critic
Oh, man.
reviews, the site calculated an average rating of 8 out of 100, its lowest ever. The game also
What?
stood as the all-time worst game on Game Rankings. Big Rigs has been cited as one of the worst video games of all time by GameSpot, Kotaku, Computer and Video Games, Hardcore Gamer, Games Radar Plus, and PC Gamer. Steve Haske of GameZone regarded it as the most abysmal racing game in 2011. On XPlay in March of 2004, if you remember XPlay, it was on the channel G4. The
Yeah, I
Games You
remember
Should
that.
Never Buy segment, co-host Morgan Webb described Big Rigs as the worst game ever made and refused to score it, as the program's rating system did not allow for a 0 score. The NYU Game Center, NYU,
That's amazing.
the New York University Game Center, exhibited the game as part of its Bad is Beautiful, an exhibition exploring fascinatingly bad games at the NYU Game Center in April of 2012. Alex Navarro reviewed Big Rigs for GameSpot in January of 2004 and criticized the game's high amount of bugs, including the absence of collision detection, enemy movement, and game physics. Lack of proper gameplay, poor truck controls. Additionally, he labeled the game as easily one of the worst looking PC games released in years and almost completely broken and blatantly unfinished in nearly every way, declaring that Big Rigs was as bad as your mind will allow you to comprehend. Navarro rated the game a 1 out of 10, described as abysmal, the lowest score on GameSpot up to that point. He later remarked that the game only received a 1 out of 10 because it was the lowest possible score on GameSpot, arguing that the site should have introduced a 0 out of 10 rating specifically for Big Rigs. The game remained the only to have received that rating from GameSpot until 2013's Ride to Hell Retribution. For the site's for the site's 2004 year-end accolades, Big Rigs was named the flat-out worst game. The editors stated that they would henceforth use the game's winning trophy as the representation for the award. In 2014, Alex Carlson of Hardcore Gamer determined that due to Big Rig's lack of challenge, incentive to play, or ability to lose, it could not accurately be described as a game. According to Steven Strom of Ars Technica, Big Rigs isn't just a failure of programming, thanks to numerous bugs and crashes. It's a failure of creativity. Hardcore Gaming 101's Garamoth was torn between calling Big Rigs hilariously campy or just shamefully terrible. And that is the worst game of
That is
2003.
There's
incredible.
Yeah, watch the Angry Video Game Nerds review on it.
Sure.
It's fantastic.
I have to do that. That sounds like a good time.
I have
there's-
always wanted to
oh.
play this game. Always.
I can't follow that up, but there are some other video games that I think are worth mentioning in 2003.
Sure.
Final Fantasy X2.
Oh,
came out
right.
that year. Not great, but notable.
Nah.
Yeah.
Need for Speed Underground, we mentioned already, came out that year.
Bit low.
Warcraft 3, The Frozen Throne.
Hell
came out
yeah.
that year.
Okay.
Great expansion. One that's very near and dear to my heart, actually, is Command & Conquer Generals. Came out that
Okay.
year.
Yep.
For
Maybe-
sure. I love that.
Maybe the
game,
most
yeah.
underrated Command & Conquer, the last good one for sure. ever
Absolutely.
come out.
Absolutely.
And then the only other game that I played a lot of, Rise of Nations came out that year as well.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, I love that game too. That's a great game.
So those are some PC ones for most, if you played PC game.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Here,
and that. Oh,
here's
go
a
on, go
picture
on.
of the trophy. If you can see that.
On Discord.
No, on
Your-
Zoom.
Right now on the
Yeah.
Zoom.
It just says your winner.
Oh, that's right.
And it so pops up when you win the race in Big
Yeah,
Rigs.
it just says
Your winner.
You are winning.
Yeah, you are winner. God.
That
So
is
good.
so
I've
bad.
always wanted to play that game. Oh God, it's amazing that 2003 has so much of the best worst. You know, you got The Room and you got Big
Right.
Rigs in the same fucking year. I mean, that's lightning in
Yeah,
a bottle
that's
twice. Well, that's not really. I mean,
right.
I don't
Something
know.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, shit in a bottle. I don't know. Um, yeah. So that will do it for the 2003. I will go into final thoughts now. If nobody else has anything else to add. Okay then.
Nope.
Final thoughts. 2003 was a year that gave us a closer glimpse of what the internet would become in the coming years. Of all the possibilities that entailed, being a viral sensation wasn't necessarily on the bingo card. YouTube was a couple years away, but already a video of a kid pretending to be a Jedi was taking over the internet. Star Wars Kid, as he was affectionately referred to, gave us something fresh and bizarre, a hilarious train wreck for your repeated viewing pleasure. MySpace changed how we interacted with one another online. Instead of simply chatting on messengers or chat rooms, we had our own page detailing ourselves for everyone to see. Friends were constantly shifting around on someone's top 8, almost always resulting in a fight. Unfortunately, as much as things change, they stay the same. The United States invasion of Iraq, under the guise of WMDs, sparked a fierce response from the world community. A never ending game of patriotic one upmanship occurs, ruining relations and causing division among the public. The levels of absurdity reach their height with the changing of names of food to show your allegiance. After 9/11, President George W. Bush told the nation and the world that if you're not with us, you're with the terrorists. This us against them mentality took root in a nation still reeling from the attacks 9 days prior. The Iraq War was our generation's Vietnam. The parallels between the two cannot be understated. By the end of the Vietnam War, which lasted from 1955 to 1975, a total of 1.3 million people had died, the majority being civilians. By only the 5th year of the Iraq War, it was estimated that over 1 million people had been killed, the majority being, again, civilians. Both wars have had serious residual effects on its participants and the public's trust in its institutions. Both wars were started with no end goal in mind. And while Vietnam was worse off when we left, Iraq is viewed in a more positive light due to Saddam no longer being in charge. However, the power vacuum left by his absence has created numerous terrorist organizations to carry out in his stead, his steed, like a horse. In our attempt to prevent another 9/11, we took the standard scorched earth approach. And with every bomb dropped, the United States made sure that everyone else got to experience their very own 9/11 they'd never forget. And with that, I hope you enjoyed our conversation and will join us again for another installment of History with Ursaphat. Don't forget to hydrate, exercise, and to like and to subscribe for the podcast. All of these things are essential for your health and well-being. Take care of yourselves and each other.